And we're live.
Yeah.
Hey.
How's it going?
Good and you, man?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, no, fine.
I'm quite warm.
I'm warm too.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a scorcher here in Cape Town. Oh, that's disgusting. That's like a radio DJ. It's a real scorcher here in Cape Town, folks. Careful on the roads.
Yeah.
Okay, that's clever.
Young Gary. Yeah. Well, it's a Saturday. We're here at Keagan's crib.
Yeah.
About to do probably our most controversial podcast. It's going to infuriate the between 10 and 30 people who listen to this podcast, but they will be mad at it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But today we're going to be discussing the man, the myth, the legend, Kanye West.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about his body of work, what his vibe is, and last but not least, we're going to rank his albums. Not together, because we could never agree on that,
No.
but we'll each have
Individual rankings.
individual lists. I'm Ezra, joined by my other co-host, Keagan, or as you know him on Twitter, KeyGuysM04.
Yeah.
And
Never gonna change.
never, ever.
Mainly because I don't know how to change it.
It's very easy. Zwide does it every time he pisses off Twitter so that people can't add him. Then he changes his handle. Who knows? Speaking of, we're joined by other special guests, Zwide.
I do want to say thank you for having me because this is something that I've been wanting to do. So
Yeah.
thanks, fellas.
Yeah, we're happy to have you. The reason we chose Zwide for this is because we've had this discussion off air very often, and it's never gone well.
Yeah. Never. So
We don't agree on this.
We're hoping to sort of keep this cohesive. And
Yeah,
non-contentious, but
we'll try our best.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
probably not gonna happen.
Zero promises.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, just to start off, like, we're all Kanye fans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't call yourselves Kanye stans.
So it's different now because how I work as a music listener or fan of music, especially for contemporary artists that are still living, is that the moment where I feel like there isn't anything holding me to listen to the musician, I kind of start to question whether I can still call myself a fan of theirs.
Yeah.
It's happened with a couple of rappers, mostly because they release more and they have larger outputs than different types of musicians. But I don't know if I can say that I'm the same Kanye fan that I was maybe
10 years ago.
not even 10, maybe as far back as Watch the Throne, so 6 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Damn, you guys got that quick maths on point.
yeah, it's somewhere 6. So yeah, I don't know. Like I would still say that I'm a fan of a lot of his albums. They still mean something to me. I have an attachment to them, a personal attachment, sentimental value.
Yeah.
But I can't really say that I'm a Kanye fan right now. It would feel weird.
Would you say that you're not a fan right now?
The thing is, it also goes beyond his music as well. So
Yeah.
it's the stuff that we've been seeing him in the headlines for besides the music. I know that today's focus is music, but what can we do with Kanye, someone that's controversial in and out the booth? So
You struggle to sort of separate them.
yeah, I'm not good with that. Like I said, especially for living artists, it's different for artists that have passed away a long time ago that I'm a fan of. Like, we have those. But someone that's still alive, and Kanye is the best example for that, where you kind of start to your support feels like it's waning a bit. Especially as you watch him continuously make headlines for different things, but there are still the albums that speak for themselves.
Yeah.
That I love dearly, but we'll get into that, I guess.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, I'd call myself a pretty big Kanye fan, and that hasn't changed throughout the years. I mean, right from the get-go, we had, him coming in and sort of changing the game in quite a big way. And for me, with each step he took, he sort of innovated in a sense, and that just sort of solidified his staying power for me personally.
yeah,
So yeah, he's definitely one of those artists I look to personally.
Okay. Yeah, I think I was almost in the same boat as you, Zwide, in that I wasn't sure whether I could call Kanye a fan. Kanye a fan of me. I don't know if I can say that. I wasn't sure if I could call myself
Maybe
a
he will
Kanye
be after
fan.
this.
Yeah, who knows? Probably not when he gets my list. So maybe you guys won't be fans of me either after you hear my list, but maybe you will. Who knows? But like, I had always considered myself a Kanye fan. Even when he, dropped a project that I wasn't the biggest fan of, I always thought, it's not as bad as some other stuff that you can hear. Which also isn't fair, because you should hold an artist to their standard, not like compare everything. I'm like, but this isn't the new Justin Timberlake, so it must be good. Like, that's not really fair, I don't think. But I think it was maybe 2 weeks ago, maybe a month ago. I'm terrible with time. The concept just confuses me. But it was at work, and we were talking about something in the news. Kanye had done something, and then someone was like, but who even is Kanye West? Like, and then I found myself hardcore defending him. I was like, he made this. You don't even understand. And even if you don't like him as a rapper, he produced all of these. And he changed like fashion and made backpacking okay for young black kids who didn't have to, dress a certain way, act a certain way. And I was like, oh, maybe I still am a Kanye fan. Because that flipped me. And I couldn't keep quiet about it. So I think probably deep down.
I actually had I remember that I had the same type of reaction after the Taylor Swift incident. So at that point, I think the last album that he had done was 808s and Heartbreaks. And at that stage in my life, I wasn't really feeling it like that. I was just like, okay, this is okay. So I think it was then when, my admiration for Kanye was just like, okay, on a music level, purely, I don't know where I'm at with him, because the last album didn't really hit me as hard as I expected it to hit me. And then the Taylor Swift incident happened, and I was at school, and some white girl, and she was like, Kanye's such an asshole. Look at this dude interrupting Taylor Swift, like, defending one of their own or whatever. And I was just like, okay, but, firstly, in that incident, we know that he wasn't wrong, right? That Beyonce video, the Beyonce video was better than the Taylor Swift video. And that Beyonce video is just incredible in its own right. And we know award shows and their issues with awarding black musicians and artists and filmmakers or whatever. But it was in that moment I was just like, okay, cool. But, okay, he was an asshole, but, that's not like some up-and-coming rapper or anything. That's Kanye West, So I understand that feeling. And it was even then where I was like, where do I stand with this dude? With that album I wasn't really just feeling, I was still found myself defending him. And it's in those moments where you really think back to how much he's impacted us as music listeners and fans of music in general.
And I think he'd get probably a sense of failure through hearing that someone say something like that, like, who is Kanye? Because that's pretty much what he's about these days. Being known.
And approval. And since the beginning, I would say he's always had, and it's always like a particular audience or a particular group that he wants to just impress. I think, if you're gonna start to get into the music, the first album, College Dropout, that was him trying to show that he's a rapper, that he's not just a producer. He's like, okay, you're gonna take me seriously with these bars. I can just, I can produce, but I can also spit. And his whole aim for that album was to be like, the music industry needs to take me as seriously as a rapper as they do with me as a producer. And he's always had this goal, or a driven achievement that he wants to get towards for an album that he was doing. Maybe we'll talk about the latest albums and whether there was a goal for those things. But in those first few albums, there's always a goal or a target market or just something that he's seeking. And approval is kind of the one thing. He would always be looking to just, I want to make sure that I get these people, with this album. So, pardon
I saw your eyes,
But,
water's right over there.
Yeah, it's right over there. I need to have that. But, so I think, I don't know how you feel, but College Dropout, like, what do you guys... what do you guys think when you hear that name at this point in 2018? What does College Dropout mean to you?
I mean, if you ask me in 2018, it just means, I guess, memories for me. Obviously, the first time. I don't know about you guys. Perhaps you'd heard something earlier. First time I ever heard Kanye.
Yeah, same. Through the
was
Wire.
on that. I don't know if it was Through the Wire. That was the first song I heard. Maybe Jesus.
Jesus Walks.
I think it was Jesus Walks was the first Kanye track I ever heard.
Yeah. I'm trying to. It was either Jesus. I know my brother used to play slow jams on repeat.
Okay. Introduced me to Jamie Foxx, actually.
Yeah.
Slow jams. I wasn't up on Jamie Foxx before that.
Yeah.
As a singer,
I didn't know that he was like
sing,
or that he could sing outside of the way that most actors can sing. I wasn't aware that he had like
just in that
chops.
period. Then he did Ray. Like a couple of months
that was
after
like,
that,
like a year later.
Yeah, no, it's 2004. Oh yeah, Slow Jams 2003, 2004. Yeah, in that same period.
Yeah, but I think, so I think I speak for all of us when I said we went and listened to his entire discography.
Yeah,
again,
of course,
before this, and that was really fun. I enjoyed every single listen. It was so great. I don't think I've ever listened to them in order back to back. The whole thing before, which I did now, and for a lot of them, it's been so long since I listened to them start to finish. College Dropout being one of them. I don't think I've listened to that start to finish for years. And the production is definitely dated for me
on College Dropout.
On College Dropouts, yes.
Okay.
And I mean, I'm not saying it is dated. Sorry, like for me, the production is dated.
Okay.
That's not like an overarching fact that I'm trying to say that you guys have to agree with. But the production felt kind of dated to me.
In a negative sense, where it's like, this is too...
And it doesn't hold up, no.
I don't think it does.
That's crazy.
A lot of I don't think he had hit his stride in terms of arrangements for himself. I feel like Kanye was really good already at that point as a producer, locking onto what someone else's... I don't want to use vibe. It's such a weird word.
Yeah.
Like what their whole thing was, and like capturing the essence of that artist and making a beat for them. Whereas a lot of beats on College Dropout were good. They're not bad beats, and especially for their time, a lot of them are better than what was coming from other people.
I would have to disagree actually because.
But like I think a lot of them don't necessarily fit in Kanye at that time. What he was rapping about and stuff. I feel like the beats, they just feel a bit disconnected.
I think they fit perfectly because it was in that period where his beats were being kind of pushed forward as the resurgence of soul sampling in hip hop music. So he would take the whatever the Harold Melvin song or whatever song, the Shaka Khan song or Rufus, slow it down or speed it up, put some dope beats on a dope drumming program over it, and it would just be like a monster, which was the thing that caught Rockefeller's attention initially. Beanie Siegel for Truth, the Dynasty album that had This Can't Be Life, which is what he's speaking about in Last Call when he's talking about the reaction that he got from Jay-Z when he hears the song. He's putting the Gucci bucket over his head.
That song in itself is pretty much
that's the Kanye
producer and rapper.
And one song though.
No, but then there's also Through the Wire, like I said. Then there's also Never Get Me Down.
Yeah, but I'm not saying that these are bad songs or bad beats. I don't want to be misunderstood here. Because that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying that for me, the beats don't always fit, and I didn't say every song was on a bad beat.
What type of beats would fit?
I don't know. I'm not a producer. Like I don't know. I feel like throwing out like. I feel like if he was doing them at 134 BPM, and if he would rather tune down, that's not what I'm saying. I don't have any sort of
like a
musical recommendation.
Like a style, like maybe.
Well, it's sort of like, let's say, if Common had to jump on a trap beat, he probably could. Like, I don't doubt that Common could hit the Migos flow, and I don't doubt that he could probably throw it down. But I don't think his bars would be bad, and I don't think if let's say it was a well produced beat, I don't think that would be bad.
So
separated.
You just don't know what type of beats were for Kanye, but you know that wasn't it.
Yeah, well then, yeah, not in general. I think
Wow.
on later projects, you really everything fits for me. I don't want to jump too far ahead.
This is always the sort of dilemma when we're viewing old albums is we can't really take ourselves back to that time and
Yeah,
listen to it at that moment.
Yeah.
Because
And
obviously
especially-
we probably all have different opinions if we did this in 2000.
and like just to speak for myself, in 2004, I wasn't even really listening to
Kanye like
that much music
Yeah.
and like hip hop in general. So I didn't even have that much to compare it to. This is now me speaking, having gone back on
Okay.
it. It doesn't affect the fond memories that I have of
Okay.
it at all.
I think what that production, why they and it's actually part of the reason why Kanye's albums, his initial albums, are so good to me. It's those productions, this early production. It fits so well with the style that hip hop was going in because
back then.
because what Blueprint 1 did was take that Kanye formula of taking those songs, you know, those 70 songs and speeding them up and putting them over like a dope beat. And then we have Just Blaze almost in that same vibe with his contributions to Blueprint. And then Heatmakers was doing that with the Diplomatic Community in 2003. So it just fit that aesthetic of that sonic aesthetic of hip hop at the time so well.
Yeah.
And Kanye was really the reason why it was coming to the forefront, you know, because he was doing that since '99 with the early Rockefeller beats that he was doing. And I feel like that was the whole agenda of College Dropout. So you guys are taking my beats and you're rapping over them. That sounds cool, but listen to what I can do on my own beats, the beats that are being pushed forward. Listen to what I can, you know, say. When you give me the chance to get on the microphone. And I think he did a good job with the rapping. Some parts, like in terms of the rapping, if we can get to the rapping, there were a lot of moments where I felt like he was trying to get in a joke here and there, you know, like
And
those
also, just before
one-liners.
you do get into the rapping, I don't think that what you just said and what I said live in different worlds. I think they can both. They can both be true. I don't think that I'm not trying to undercut the pioneering work that the album did or what Kanye was doing at that time. I think that would be,
Which is also
grossly
interesting.
underselling
When we're
what
doing
he's
these
saying.
things, how much of a factor is
the impact that it has.
Yeah.
That's
It has a lot to do with how we view his future albums, because people will be like, the whole premise of the I Love Kanye interlude on Pablo, the first line he says, I miss the old Kanye, chop up the soul Kanye. That is just like, because it's like the hallmark of his career when you would take those songs and soften them. So I do feel like he really was just in another world in that period of his life, 99.
Is that your top
2005.
Kanye era?
We'll get into that. But,
All right.
we will. But in terms of the album itself, outside of production, you mentioned it early on, the impact in terms of, I would say, the black middle class, you know, because that's where Kanye kind of came from. So that's why he wasn't really rapping about what 50 Cent was rapping about. And what had the white gaze at so much, you know, like as a frenzy, gangster rap, you know, bulletproof, thugged men, you know, and tattoos and do-rags and all of that. That was selling.
literally picturing that.
That is 50 Cent. Yeah, that's the album cover.
You can imagine what it was like for a record executive at a big company. It's like, you're a rapper, where's your bulletproof vest? Where's your do-rag? Where's your Timberlands? Where's your baggy jeans? And then Kanye, you know, the pink polo, backpacking. So the cultural impact of the College Dropout was just that it made us aware that these, you know, other sectors of life within the black community in terms of what I can talk about when I come to the, you know, microphone. Even just the topics.
I mean, even the album covers of those first three albums are so contrasting
exactly. And
to what
the
was
whole criticizing the school system. You know, him talking about how he felt like, you know, dropping out was the best decision in his life. Those little interludes, little Jimmy interludes. I don't have a degree. My dad died. He left me with so much degrees. You know, it's just like.
And I mean, even
other homeless people sleep with newspapers. No one else who's homeless has college degrees.
Yeah, you know.
When I'm asleep at night on the street, these degrees will keep me warm.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
and
Iconic.
being the secretary to the secretary, and the secretary didn't even get the degree, but she
Didn't even finish high school,
Yeah.
but she's the CEO's daughter.
So it's great because I'm part of the family now. It was like, but it was just actually felt like that album was like, you know, it was I don't know how to brand this like without trying to mock it because I'm really not, but it was like a comedy album, you know. Kanye, if he was doing like, and you know, Kanye always had this brilliant sense of humor in this early period.
Yeah, he did.
So he came to it like a Dave Chappelle or a Richard Pryor would, you know. Let's look at the school system and let's look at how I can mock this with these little skits and my, you know, my punchlines about, you know, this and that. You know, it was so brilliant because he was just approaching it in a way that was just like,
we just don't care.
we just don't care. Yeah, you know, school spirit.
Getting kids to chant about,
you know,
selling drugs.
Schools. The whole premise of that is wild, but it's literally just like it was a brilliant stand-up set.
Yeah.
I'm gonna come up here and tell you about something really real. People are drowning in student loan debts. People are working at retail jobs or whatever, and they're struggling because it's not feeding the lifestyle that they thought it would give them.
Yeah.
But it's just so real, and it's so funny the way that he's bringing it. Like I think people don't really appreciate that comedy aspect a lot because Kanye was just bringing it like, you know.
Oh man, I feel like I'm gonna ask you a question now, and again, it's gonna be probably you two against me. But so you guys on College Dropout specifically, not late registration.
Yeah.
The skits, you like all of them?
No. Well,
Because a couple of the earlier ones.
yeah.
Oh man, so I made a rule for myself when I was re-listening now before this podcast that I wouldn't skip anything.
Yeah.
Because we do, especially when you're going back to like an older thing and you want to hear something specific, you'll usually listen to that.
Yeah.
But I wanted to make sure I listened to the whole thing. But a couple of the skits on College Dropout, I was like, wow, this is getting long. If I could get back to that music, please.
Yeah. I would even say some of the songs. Breathe in, breathe out.
Yeah.
Get 'em high. Family Matters.
Get him high, breathe in, breathe out. Oh man, there was another one that I specifically thought, but now I can't remember the
School
name.
Spirit. Or Family Matters. Those are the songs that were like, these are fillers.
And it just felt like
they don't
cypher
fit.
beats.
Yeah.
And it felt like this is a nice beat.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna spit some dope stuff on top of it. But that was the entirety of like that thing. And even when it's
Yeah. I hope you're not gonna. I hope you're not thinking of
lyrics.
2 words.
No.
Because 2 words is fire.
No, it was good.
Yeah.
But like,
When you,
I think that song has its place on an album.
Yeah.
You can have your song where
you just spazzing.
go wild, spaz on
Yeah,
spitting hot fire everywhere.
Yeah.
But a lot of them I didn't feel were that, and some of those skits
Yeah.
I also felt like, oh, okay,
Agree.
I got this in like the first 15 seconds,
Yeah.
and it could have been
Like
a nice little
a
interlude.
deluxe edition or something.
Yeah, and perhaps some of them would drag on a bit, and I only know that because like so many of his later albums, I don't want to talk too much about them because we're going to get there, but like Late Registration, Graduation, even Yeezus, they flow really well, like track to track.
Yeah.
And it's a straight listen, and it's really cool, and I'm never out of the vibe. But there were moments on College Dropout where I'm like, I stop. And I will look. I was listening on Spotify, but like, take out your phone and you're looking like, how much longer is on this?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's a while.
Yeah.
I guess I'll stick it out.
Yeah.
Which I guess is for me very much a minus when it comes to an album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In this generation now, obviously now during the CD era where you just listen to it and you wouldn't mind not skipping because scratches and whatever. You know, I definitely, and it's, you know, where we're at right now as a generation, those skits, it's very much like a sign of the time back then. Rappers used to have like 23 track albums, 10 skits, something crazy.
I was surprised by when I look at College Dropout how many tracks there are and then how short the album is.
Yeah.
Because now if you say a 23, 21 track album, I'm always like, oh my gosh, really? An hour and a half, hour 45?
Culture 2.
I mean, none of those are songs though.
Yeah. You know, but something like that. We're in a generation now where we see anything above 18. Like 18 is even like generous.
That's even can be quite long, 18, depending on
how many of them.
Yeah.
So anything above like 15, I would say. I'm already like, oh wow, okay, this is gonna be homework.
Yeah.
So I think for me, besides for
fingers.
808s and Heartbreaks, like this one actually did drag a bit.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wait,
College Dropout.
On your point, I think that the sequencing on his earlier albums could have been better, or they just weren't as good as what they would become.
Yeah, maybe not as thought out. Maybe because he was really focusing on crafting his identity, and he wanted everyone to know exactly who he was, not necessarily to make the perfect album, but he was very much proving himself. And then once he reached a certain level where he thought, okay, people are listening, everyone's sitting up, I'm gonna hit you with
that CD,
a masterpiece.
That CD era was really like, in terms of albums and sequencing, that era is very different to what the 70s was with vinyls. 10-track album, the songs have the side A, side B, you put it on, it flows seamlessly. Then the CD era comes, or the cassette era, or the CD one, I would say, and it's like 23 songs, and it's, double albums and stuff like that. Now we're in the streaming era where we're just like EPs, so it's like that CD era was really the moment for you to be like, okay, if you want to say anything, get it out now. Yeah. Because the past is gone and the future is different, so I would definitely agree. The sequencing on the College Dropout was the one thing, and the fillers, like you said. I would definitely get rid of Get 'Em High because of that god-awful common line. Real rap is hard to find.
What is the line?
Like remote, real rap is hard to find, like the remote. And he had like a short ellipsis moment after that line, like, ooh.
Like he wanted everyone to go like, oh.
That's a Drake line.
But he was leaving space for everybody to go like, oh. Yeah. But like no one did.
Even to be fair, there were some Kanye lines on that I was also like, like.
Yeah.
But
a couple corny lines. They kind of fed into his. Yeah. A lot of people used to think Kanye was a bit corny in the beginning.
Yeah.
Which is what he was fighting.
I think.
As well.
I think that was like just just him really just being like, okay, I'm gonna get to this mic and say everything that I have on my mind. And if we segueing onto Late Registration, he got better at that.
Yeah. Well, I just feel like Keagan. On like, College Dropout, some final thoughts.
I just think that it's probably his most accessible album from the get-go. I think if you're going back and you're listening to, if you had to pick out a Kanye West album that everyone can sort of, where the lyrical themes aren't too challenging, most people can sort of identify with the message across the album. He touches on various concepts throughout the album, and I don't think I quite got the whole sequencing thing that you guys are on about. I think that for me, when I went back to it now, I think I enjoyed it start to finish.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, there are a few in between that I think I could weed out. But yeah, other than that,
for me, it isn't like a now thing that I started to. I do remember not really enjoying some of those skits, a few of them, except for the Little Jimmy one. That's a classic.
That's all. Yeah.
Oh, which skits didn't you enjoy?
Well, there was one.
The earlier ones.
There's one called Graduate. That's the very first. He was the first. Not that one, but there's one just after We Don't Care, or just before Spaceships. It's just like random ones that they don't need to be there. There's one called Graduation Day. It's just like, and there's the School Spirit one after the song School Spirit, but it becomes funnier as it progresses. Yeah. That's when he talks about the secretary and stuff. Yeah. But I just feel like there's just moments where he could have trimmed the fat.
Yeah, it's almost like because a lot of them were, especially on that album, for comedic effects.
Yeah. Yes.
It felt like a comedian doing a set and not every joke landing, and then there's one and you're like, cool. Whereas like it's his album, if we can relate that to like a comedy special, Totes could have edited out the not so great stuff, kept them short and punchy. I love interludes, whether they be musical or like skits and stuff, which add something, I suppose, and get me into the next track, or it's something that like continues on from the last track, or preps me, so puts me in a certain state of mind before a track comes on that then maybe hits my ear differently than it would have if it was just track to track. And there were some that I felt were just superfluous. I was like, take that out, doesn't change the album at all.
Well, I suppose we could put a lot of that down to the fact that this was his first album. Finding his feet and whatever.
He had a lot to say.
Well, the fact that it was 2004.
I guess it depends on...
And people just did skits like that. It was the done thing.
I guess that depends on how forgiving we are towards that aspect of it.
Yeah. But I do still think that was just he did what he set out to do. He really impressed, the likes. That Last Call is just such a beautiful moment where he's explaining his story. And just the come up, it's like a crowning moment, or full circle moment.
I also
actually,
found
would
it
say.
interesting on how he talks about how he listened to 2001 by Dr. Dre.
Yeah.
And he
Used that.
He took the drums off Explosive.
Yeah.
And if you go back to that song and you listen to it, that's pretty much his sound. That song, he used that same drum.
And I think Kanye's always been very good with like referencing who credit belongs to. You know, if he says this person inspired me for this, whether it's an artist in terms of visual artist or choreography or an architect, you know, because Kanye always has these inspirations. You know, I think he's rather vocal about that. It's like, when I made this song, I saw a painting in Venice, and this, you know, struck a chord with me.
Some of those references are
very
out there. Yeah.
And having said that, it's part of what I think, in terms of his character, has gotten worse over the years, because there are a lot of things that we pick up that don't seem like coincidences. Like they're a very clear thing, and I'm waiting for him to reference.
I think I know what you're getting to, but we'll get there.
You probably know the most obvious one that I talk about all the time. He used to be, but then that also might just be a symptom of being that big.
Yeah. That could go into the conversation about Kanye and rapping as well, because we know that he's not the only one coming up with the bars in the booth. So in College Dropout, next to him is Consequence and Rhymefest. And I actually saw a tweet recently that said that Lauryn Hill wrote the rest of All Falls Down, the entire track. I was shocked.
What do you mean the rest?
So, you know, she's on the chorus, the interpolation that's Lauryn Hill.
That's Anita Johnson.
Oh, well, Lauryn Hill covered the song. And he used that.
Okay.
Yeah. But they said that she wrote the verses as well. I was like, damn. So, in terms of giving credit,
we've all been miseducated.
In terms of giving credit, you know, there will be on the liner notes, you know, Shay Smith, Rhymefest, or Consequence, or Malik Jones, sorry. So it's just another conversation. I think that when you look at Kanye, we also have to remember that he's not the only one in the booth.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at all the liner notes across all his albums, you'll see a fat list in the writing section.
Yeah.
And again, great, they're in the liner notes, so that's fine.
Yeah.
As long as they're credited.
Well, I don't think
not everyone is credited.
Yeah, and I don't think
we're talking about these
I don't
things
think
that
the
have
public sort of
realize
that.
That's the thing. So that was a shock with me in terms of the song. Like, but I've had that moment plenty of times with Kanye. Damn, Consequence wrote Diamonds. Damn.
Yeah.
Oh, what? Big Sean wrote Graduation. You know, there's some crazy stuff like that. It's happened a lot.
Big Sean.
Yeah, we'll get to that, man. It's crazy.
The whole album. He wrote this album.
He wrote the album, but
this is a Big Sean album. Kanye just did the vocals.
With each album that we talk about, we can speak about, you know, who was a key part.
All right, so Late Registration. I mean, for me, the jump. Again, I feel like no one's going to agree with me here, but the jump in overall quality for me is astronomical. I thought Late Registration was. And I remember feeling this also back then. This wasn't a retrospective.
Why would you say we wouldn't agree
opinion? With you? No, I think you might, just because when I led into that sentence, I saw your faces. And I was like, uh-oh. No. But I found going from College Dropout when. And to be fair, I didn't listen to the full album of College Dropout until very far after it came out. I remember hearing singles and people playing it off of a cell phone.
Did any of us at that age
not when
listen to projects with as much?
If the CD was in the library, I would take it and put it on my Windows Media Player and rip that.
No, not when it came out for me, but when I had like a tool or a device or access to it, that's when I was starting to listen to albums.
Did you guys buy rap at that point? 2004? Did your parents let you?
My parents were buying us rap.
Oh,
so Kanye West is actually one of the first rappers that they acknowledge in our lives, because it's rap is obviously a young people thing to our parents' generation, but they could see that we have, you know, some loving or admiration or fascination towards it, and Kanye West was always one of the first rappers. I'll get into it, but Graduation was the CD that my parents bought me, the first CD I ever owned by myself, because there's three of us, me and my brothers. We used to share the CDs that our parents would buy for us. That was the first CD that I
remember
was my own. Yeah, you know, and just just what Kanye means to me, you know, growing up, very different to what he means to me now. Basically, is what I want to say. So he was always one of like, I think he was my first favorite rapper. I wouldn't say he's my favorite rapper right now because I've grown and my musical qualities have changed, and I have a different level of introspection when I'm discussing music and listening to songs from the past that I used to like, or albums from the past that I used to like. So Kanye was just, but that first, you know, the first GOAT to me, you know. So those early albums, I didn't hear College Dropout in full, but we had Late Registration in full.
Okay, dope.
And you were talking about the skits.
That's actually the same as mine.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, I got College Dropout
In full.
2 years later.
Oh, 2 years.
I got it. Yeah, I hadn't listened to it in full. Yeah, but they the Table View Library actually have a great CD collection, and you can. I mean, it's a library, so you take them out.
Do they still do that
my
now?
computer. Yeah, still do it, and DVDs. But I mean,
No one really does that. Yeah.
So I used to take the CDs, put on my computer, burn it to my Windows library, and put it on a blank disc. Then I would download the album art, print it, cut it, put it in the blank disc. I'd even do the side, like the spine, but it would always like fold and look bad. But
And that's how you're bootlegging business.
yeah, and that's how we're able to afford this microphone. But yeah, I wasn't allowed to, like, you know, my dad's like a jazz and classical music head, but he just the profanity was something he couldn't get around. I mean, now I think he accepts that my sister and I listen to it, but he would never.
So with something like Kanye, we would see him on the music videos on like MTV or something like that, and obviously
DSTV.
And they would have the clean edits of the song. So then they could see, okay, these kids really enjoy the song, I'm just gonna buy the album for them. They wouldn't really be there with us listening to the whole album, you know. So with Late Registration, I actually have a fond memory of it. My cousins got the CD, and they were the ones that were really pushing, you know, our loves for Kanye. And I remember they were visiting our place and they put the Late Registration CD in, and it started with that Bernie Mac, you know, that chuckle leading into Heard Him Say, and
which is great.
Great.
Wake up, Mr. What?
Yeah. Wake up, Mr. You know,
amazing.
And then hearing the Broke Five Bros skits, but then just listening to the singles, you know, after seeing them in the videos, we listen to him, you know, rapping them word for word, and then listening to the songs. Obviously, we haven't heard the album songs, and we're just like, damn, this dude's amazing. You know, Late Registration. What you were saying, the jump, I completely agree. He set out a goal to prove himself on College Dropout, and he did that. So Late Registration was like a celebratory moment, and he's just like, you know, on top of the world, and his confidence and ego was just sky high at that point. You know, something like that, but also
I'm just thinking about Get Him High.
Yeah, something like that, but also, oh yeah, that's Touch the Sky.
Touch the Sky.
Yeah,
but I was thinking about. But I heard it over the Get Him High beat in my head for some reason.
but you referencing a song that I was about to bring up, because he had that one line talking about listening to songs on the radio, thinking, damn, these niggas much better than me. And that was his you know, that was him talking about what life was a year ago or 2 years ago when College Dropout was just about to come out. And now he's at this moment where College Dropout is doing well for himself, he's growing, and he has this moment to be like, I'm gonna talk my shit, you know, and I'm just gonna go in. And Touch the Sky, that line is just so beautiful. Like, it's such a quintessential Kanye line, you know, like, he's still so insecure about, you know, how he compares to his peers and his contemporaries, but he knows that he's better than them. You know, so it was just, that album was just him defining himself as a premier rapper, obviously reaching towards pop levels of success with the singles that were coming out. Gold Digger.
Yeah, we got to talk about that. Got to talk about the singles that we're talking about.
Yeah, man, like
comparison between College Dropout and Late Registration.
It was Touch the Sky, Gold Digger, Diamonds. And Diamonds as a singles is crazy because that's like touching on, you know, the
very serious
in
issues,
Africa, you know, like
not actually, because the single he released, there was just sort of that sort of juxtaposition. Over that.
Sorry, I meant to say the Diamonds remix is when he was talking about.
Yeah.
That. So Diamonds, the song, is talking about the rock Nation as a dynasty because Dame Dash was just that was the album version or the single version. Dame Dash had his fallout with Jay-Z, and people are wondering, maybe do the Indian dance or bring our rain back. He's talking about that song is about obviously Rock Nation as a collective. That's why we had Jay-Z on the Diamond remix to talk his shit as well. But Diamond's the remix. That was another moment. Like hip hop used to have moments. First time you saw a video, first time you heard a remix or something. That Diamond's remix and Jay-Z comes in at the end and kills it. After Kanye spazzes out about the diamond industry in Africa. Just there were so many moments in Late Registration, but the singles were just so quality as well. Lupe's guest feature on Touch the Sky. I'm trying to think, what was the other single?
Was Touch the Sky, Gold Digger.
Touch the Sky, Gold Digger, Diamond.
I think it was just those two.
Heard Him Say was the
with the two different videos.
Yeah, with the two, the animation and the store one. He was just. I also want to say this: Kanye's political stance in that point in his life was way better than what it is now. This thing about crack music, he's talking about how we stopped the Black Panthers. Ronald Reagan has the answer. How do we fund crack in our communities? George Bush or something. He was just bringing up references like Jill Scott Heron. And I feel like
that George Bush doesn't care about
that in that period. It was in that period. His political viewpoints, even in we saw fragments of it in College Dropout, but on Late Registration, he was just like hitting us from like these angles. I was just like, damn, and it was just something that really made you engage in the topic. It wasn't like surface level, and it was something that that reflected on the community. I would say that later in his career, the song topics become more like insular or just his
100%.
His what it means to him and why you should care about it. That's what it was.
Why you should care about how he feels about this.
About this. But on Late Registration, he was just like I said, crack music is just such a brilliant song.
That was one of the tracks that I revisited now. I felt like I'm listening to it for the first time.
Man, it was just a beautiful song.
I've got to say, for me, delivery wise,
on point.
Yeah, that is
on point.
That is quite.
There was and maybe also that also plays into that thing that I was saying about not feeling like the connection maybe between the beats and the lyrics and the message is possibly because I just feel like whatever he was feeling on every song comes across so well on Late Registration, whether it be like the joy or anger that you feel it no, did you think I was talking about the song The Joy? You're so wrong.
But I understand.
I really felt College Dropout, and this is why I disagree with you with which album to introduce someone to Kanye on, I would say Late Registration. College Dropout requires a very careful listen to pick up on a lot of the stuff in terms of, because it's just,
context.
You've got to hear the lyrics, every lyric, maybe, to get what he's saying. Whereas Late Registration, he's wearing his emotions on his sleeve the whole time. And even if you're not, because I remember struggling to, pick up themes, or maybe it's because we were kids. But like the theme of the song, or there were lines that I would only get on like the 10th, 12th listen, etc.
Years later or whatever.
Whereas Late Registration, even when I pick up something new, I already felt what it meant to Kanye and what the song was meant to hit me with. I
think it's just very much a case of different strokes at this point, because I feel the exact opposite.
Because if I had to say to my sister, like, you should listen to old Kanye, Late Registration is what I throw and I'll drop out.
College Dropout had the context of, we're watching this dude say he's a rapper, let's see him prove his point. And when you're watching the Through the Wire video and they have that chaining moment at the end, that beautiful moment when Rockefeller puts the chain over him, passing the torch to him.
On stage.
If you go into it with that context and listening to the album, it's like, okay, damn, Kanye, you did your thing. Late Registration, I think I would agree with Ezra. He's like a certified rapper at that point. So at this point, he's trying to rap. Like out-rap dudes that are in his group. He's no longer the producer rapper. He's the rapper in Late Registration. And he's going in. Like you said, the delivery was on point. There were two very important like live performances that go with late registration. It was the late orchestration concert at Abbey Road with the string orchestra and John Legend on keys. And then the guest features like GLC and Cameron, I think, came out, and Lupe came out for Touch the Sky. Then there was the VH1 Storytellers, and I remember watching that for the very first time. And I think it was just a few years, maybe 1 year after Late Registration had come out, and he was doing the songs of that album, and he was just, you talk about delivery, he was just on point on that. I remember his live performance of Roses, the song about his grandmother being in hospital, and you know, he had the crowd with him. I was just appreciating the way that he could just engage a crowd and have them go through so many sets of emotion in one song. So he's talking about, you know, asked the nurse, did he do the research? She asked me if she could sign some t-shirts.
Yeah.
I mean, we just but you should have seen, because, you know, that's a very deep song. So for the first minute of the song, he's like, damn, you know, he's going in. He brings up that line, the crowd is laughing. Like, he had them in his hands. So delivery, he was just bar none in that moment.
And I think the most personal Kanye album for me.
Most personal.
But there's a reason that there's another one that people often cite as his most raw and personal work.
Yeah.
But it just
I get what you're saying,
doesn't
though,
resonate with me sonically, so I can't really get behind.
But when has Kanye never? Are you saying most personal?
Yeah, most. No, I'm not saying that his
personal.
other works are all vapid, soulless works. That's not at all I'm saying.
Never.
But I think a lot of the, I guess, album themes of some of the later albums are perfectly realized. Like if we're going to talk about your graduation and your beautiful doctor's fantasy, like even Life of Pablo, like what I gather was his vibe for it. It fits, but nothing hits me as hard as Late Registration.
Yeah.
When I listen through it,
Hey
I'm
Mama.
like, whoo, I'm feeling everything that Kanye's saying. Whereas there are moments on like Graduation and my beautiful, I hate it's such a mouthful.
Yeah.
Doctor's Fantasy, where I feel some type of way, like the music is putting me in a place, but I don't necessarily know what Kanye is feeling on that song. I just know what I'm feeling, which is maybe different. And that's why
I definitely understand what you're saying.
Where I felt like I had the most personal look into Kanye, as opposed to other albums where maybe he touched me more. Ooh, it's a weird word.
He was just really. I wouldn't know. I don't want to use the word victory lap, but he was just on that. You know, okay, look. So in that period where he was doing the later, I think that was the one that won him the rap album of the year, right? The Grammy. Yeah. And he had that iconic speech where he's like, always asking Kanye, what would you do? You know, what would you do if you didn't win the award? And then he goes, I guess we'll never know. So that was for Late Registration, right?
I think so. Yeah, I think it was.
But I could be wrong. But if it was for that album, it's just a defining signature for that album. It's triumphant. Let's think about the horns and We Made You. You hear that and you feel like, damn, like this dude is really
John Bryan on that.
Really?
Phone composer. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Tony Williams and Really Doe and a good Nas guest feature as well. It's actually
it's a rarity.
No, at that point it was.
Yeah, because he was on the Stillmatic.
He was on that slump, bro.
Yeah, but I think Made You Look was. Or what was the album that had Made You Look? It was one of those albums. But he was just. He was
asking about Nas albums and on Stillmatic. Why would you do that?
He was. Yeah, he definitely wasn't on the same standard as the first album, Stillmatic, and what's the second album? I forgot the title.
There's a reason we didn't do a Nas podcast.
Yeah. But just, I actually felt like the sequencing also was a little bit not as good as it should have been on Late Registration, but it didn't really hamper the strength of the album. I felt like We Made You should have been the outro. Just like when you hear this, and then when he brings it back after it dies, I was like, damn, dude, this should have been the outro, because it's like it's such a signature, you know.
What is the outro?
it's the track after the Diamonds album version.
Oh, it's late. Isn't it?
Late,
but
yeah.
that's I think isn't that the
But isn't that the deluxe? Yeah, I always get confused because every time I get something later on iTunes, it's always like...
Well, the album that I always link late registration to is the deluxe one.
Okay.
That's the one that I first got introduced. So I always just felt like We Major should have been the last song on the album.
Yeah.
But there was just some good moments after the album. I think Celebration was another good. But we never spoke about his production yet. The production on the album was bananas.
Was what?
Bananas.
B-A-N-A.
Yeah. He was just I need to find like obviously who else was with him at that point too, because he doesn't always do things by himself. But yeah, he was just hitting on all cylinders at that point, and he was just amazing. Like I think the greatest run, the great three album run was really like solidified with that album. There's always that sophomore chorus, and it's like, oh damn, like Nas, dropped Illmatic, and then the second album wasn't that good. It was a slump. That can't be said for Kanye.
Yeah, not at all.
Yeah.
Keagan?
Yeah, well...
Because I know we had some opposing views on this album.
Yeah,
It's interesting.
I actually think the singles on Dropout, they hit me a bit harder than they do
Oh,
Late
wow.
Registration. Yeah,
But that's understandable.
That's very much personal.
That's understandable.
Yeah, and I do think as well that Late Registration doesn't finish as strongly as College Dropout does because of the sequencing, like you say.
Yeah.
I think Lost Call is just the perfect way.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. We Major should have been the outro.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine like if you had placed that as the outro, how different your perspective of the album would be.
Yeah, but definitely, I definitely see where you're coming from. I think he went bigger in almost everywhere with this album.
Yeah.
And part of that is because of that grand, glossy production he puts on every track.
Very lush.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, sophomore slump avoided, definitely, without a doubt.
Like, not even anywhere. It's just like, oh, he. I feel like he did better. Like he fought. Like I don't know what you would say, but I think he improved because someone could avoid the sophomore slump by doing an album just as good.
Just on the like same level.
He brought it and did better.
Yeah.
So the first one was a hit.
In the words of Anderson .Paak, he got bigger.
He got bigger. Yeah, he got bigger. That's what you would say. Good album. Like we'll talk about where it ranks though.
Yeah.
So do you think that he channeled that momentum into Graduation? Do you guys think?
Oh yes.
I definitely do feel it. And I was mentioning earlier that with each album he had like an aim. So on the first album he had the aim to prove himself. Second album, had an aim to solidify himself. Third album, and I recently found this out. He wanted to make anthem music.
I can hear that.
Yeah, and I never picked that up as an 11-year-old kid getting Graduation for the first time. It's like, this is great music. Damn, Kanye, you did it again. And then I'm reading up. This was last year, 10th anniversary of Graduation. I'm just reading some of the pieces that have been posted. I think it was last year, right? Yeah, it was last year, September 11th of 2017.
Yeah, 2007. Yeah.
So, and they're talking about Kanye's goal for the album was actually to make Anthem like big stadium status. That's the first words that you say on Big Brother. And he definitely did do that because he geared his sound up to fit that the influence of electronic. Kind of delving away from the soul influence into the more like.
I get that, but which tracks do you think that anthemic?
Stronger, Good Life, Can't Tell Me Nothing. Come on, bro. Come on.
I guess, yeah.
Champion.
Okay.
With the brilliant Steely Dan sample.
You can when I hear Champion, I if I close my eyes, I always see lights, pyrotechnics, people jumping in golden circle. It has that vibe to it.
Yeah.
And that whole album has. So the first, like College Dropout and Late Registration, I want to see in a 300-person venue. I want to see Kanye really rapping.
Yeah.
And I want to feel like I'm in it. But when I think about Graduation, I want to be at a massive stadium, and I want to see the effect of that music on that crowd of people. I feel like it just has that different
flashing lights, bro. Come on.
Woo.
Damn, man. Like, just an arena setting for that type of song is the only way I can imagine it.
Even the way that he layers, I think his build-ups and his crescendos are way more anthemic than the previous two, and that's not a knock on the previous two because they're amazing hip-hop albums. But Graduation, whether you think this is good or bad, will depend on how you think about hip-hop, because a lot of people, like the purists, the hip-hop, like, why isn't this boom bap kind of old hits? But I feel like he just graduated into the big leagues. Like that was his aim was to make something bigger than, because he knew, like we've spoken about, his confidence and his ego. Like he knew that he's got it. His formula was perfect. At this point he was like, this is my skill sets. So he made something with what he had as his skill sets, and then in Late Registration I feel he's like, I can smooth this out. I can make this sound nicer. I can bring more in my delivery as a rapper. I've got the bars, whether I wrote them or not, and now I'm going to make sure that people are really feeling what I'm saying. And then on Graduation he was like, oh, but now I'm going to do it for thousands of people. And I'm going to make everyone
sing along to the songs.
When these are going to be the biggest, this isn't going to be the biggest songs on hip hop radio. This is going to be the biggest stuff you hear on pop radio.
I was just about
not
to
because
get to
it's
that
a pop
point.
song, but because I made this song that can touch everyone.
I was about to get to that point. That's when you can see that. Remember I talked about he always had a target market that he wanted approval from. In this album, this is when he was starting to try elevate the whole rap attack, and now he wants to be seen beyond that, which I have some feelings about, but we can get into that a little later. But you can see that his goal here is not to just be in the bracket of a rapper, because we know that, and it's not hip hop's fault, but we know that being a rapper or being a hip hop artist has its limitations.
Of course,
So he wanted to be, even today, it's never changed from the beginning.
We still have rappers now, who don't want to be called rappers.
And I maybe I can get into that. I feel like that's kind of BS, because you're not bigger than the art form. Hip hop is a culture. That's a people's communication form. So if you want to tell yourself rapping is beneath me, that's because that's what they're coming off as. No, don't call me a rapper. It's like they offended. What's wrong with being called a rapper? Because you're carrying on a tradition. Because what do you view rapping as? What do you view graffiti as? What do you view breakdancing as? What do you view DJing as? But you don't want to be.
That's an interesting take on it. I see it from a different angle. I see it from not necessarily saying that the art form is bad, but I feel like people don't want to be boxed into a genre. The same way as, like, I don't think Moses Sumney dislikes R&B,
but he's not that.
But I think it probably does frustrate him when people are like, I mean, you're R&B, and then he's like, I mean, but I'm not though, because can you not see what I'm doing is this big thing? I'm not saying, and I guess it never came off as disrespectful from Kanye. It never came off to me as disrespectful from Childish Gambino. That's probably different for a lot of people. But a lot of people felt some kind of way about Donald Glover before. And to be honest, people felt a similar way about Kanye in the early days as well. And I think you can see a very clear influence that Kanye had on Donald Glover, especially in his earlier.
I see it in dudes like A$AP Rocky now wanting to say, "Oh, don't call me a rapper." And that's why I'm feeling like, okay, but what's wrong with being called a rapper? Because that's what are you doing? I think singing is different. You can sing in different styles of music. That's why I would understand why Moses Sumney wouldn't want to be classified, because that's not what he's doing. He's not doing R&B. That's lazy to call him R&B. But when you're rapping, you're doing what is a tradition. Sure. And a fairly recent one, if you have to be honest, because 40 years in, and it's a very beautiful culture. And for you to feel like, but that's not who I am, then why do you rap? You can't call what you're doing different to what Curtis Blow was doing in 1979, or the Sugar Hill Gang. You're carrying on a tradition. You're rapping. So if you want to be called something else, then maybe don't do rap music. It's as simple as that to me. Don't be doing something that you feel like, okay, this is what rapping is, I'm going to do that. And then be surprised that people want to call you a rapper. And they aren't even saying it to be condescending, because I wouldn't imagine in any mind depending on who you're talking to, rapping is something that's low or beneath people. It's almost like I was reading this book by Angela Davis, and she's talking about the different the different classes of community, and blues music in the past was associated to the lower working class community. They didn't want to listen to that music because and we know what that means in hip hop right now. A lot of people, old establishments, doesn't even have to be white people, our parents, why you listen to that garbage, I don't believe that we should be looking at rap like this ugly stepchild. When someone wants to put rapping next to their name, that's kind of my point.
But I guess I just don't think we can assume that someone is saying that that's what rap is unless they've said it.
For sure, I'm not saying that if you're going to be doing music and your genres are very expansive, that you can't have the right to be called, more than a rapper. But at the end of the day, if you're going to be speaking in a rhythmic way, that's rapping, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No, yeah, and I don't disagree with that. I just think that's you if you're gonna bash someone for speaking out against hip hop, I'm fine with that if they've spoken out against hip hop.
It's the message behind. So
yeah, but I think what we're talking about is different between Kanye West, Childish Gambino, and A$AP Rocky. They're three completely different cases.
Then let's keep it to Kanye, because Kanye wanted to be, he had this desire to be considered the MJ, the Michael Jackson of rap. So not even the Michael Jackson of rap, but to be put next to Michael Jackson. And that's because we know that rap music has never had that elevation or that push. Let's think about the history of rap. Will Smith and DJ Jazzy Jeff had to protest against the Grammy Awards for not protesting rap music. Even to this day we feel like broadcasting rap music, sorry. Even to this day we feel like they're showing more of the quote-unquote Black American music in the pre-telecast shows for the Grammys than they do in the actual show. And we're looking at even the Black community looking down on rap music. Soul Train, I forgot what my dude's name was, that was the host of Soul Train. He hated rap. The old god hated rap music. And that's why that's why it has its limitations today. What happened in the past affects today. So that's why I can understand if someone's like, but I'm more than a rapper and I want to be placed next to Michael Jackson, like Kanye. But that doesn't mean that you have to almost feel like you can be beyond rap, that I can elevate to another class. And that's legit the feeling that I get when someone says, don't call me a rapper. I'm not that. What's wrong with being called a rapper? That's what you're doing. You're carrying on something
sure.
that I feel like is an ancestral thing, it just goes beyond a music genre.
Yeah,
it's a culture.
But I also think that I don't know if that's if someone doesn't want to be called something, then they don't have to be. But if that means that then you consider them to have placed themselves outside of hip hop culture, then fine, then that's their place. But if that's where they want to be, then that's where they have to be.
It's very different if you say that I don't want to be called a rapper because you know that you don't just do rap. That's very fine. And we will hear the music. The music is the proof. We know that this guy can't just do rap. But if you are rapping on 90% of the album, please don't act surprised if I'm going to play hip-hop artist Kanye West. Come on, bro. But to the point of graduation, he just wanted that label next to the greats, the pop stars of the time, even not even the greats, but just the same respect that pop stars get given, or the same representation, or the same inclusion, or whatever that pop stars get given. And I think he did that because, we spoke about the singles of the previous album. The singles on this album, Struggle was inescapable.
Yeah.
And I actually want to know what effect it had on Daft Punk and their fan base, because I'm pretty sure they got some younger fans just off of that song.
Yeah, probably people outside of the genre.
Yeah, outside the genre.
At that point, the electro EDM wasn't huge.
And then obviously because it had its wave when Daft Punk came out, was stronger initially.
Yeah, but even then it was more. It was almost like a purist dance music, electro EDM wasn't so much. big
not-
genre that it was. It was very
yeah.
much for the club. It wasn't like
not like
a viable
Billboard
over
genre,
award. Yeah. But it did have obviously its wave, like a subculture that was just booming and dark.
Of course, yeah.
And Kanye West kind of like I really want to know what type of influence that had on Daft Punk's fan base. But I know that I remember listening to Stronger, and the dude that I was with was a guy that I was friends with. He was older. And me, he was just staying with us at the crib, and I had the graduation CD, and I just placed it in his car because we were driving somewhere. He's like, "Do you know that he got this from a Daft Punk song?" I'm like, "Damn, I didn't even know that." You know, like, so he still had that sampling in him, but he was just taking from different areas. So that, I would say there was some songs in there that didn't age as well as I thought they did. Drunken Hot Girls is not that good when I listen to it now.
Yeah.
I'd never thought that Drunken Hot Girls was good when I heard it when it came out.
I used to love it, but
Really?
nah.
I didn't like the circus chord progression.
It was very minor circus.
It just felt
Barry
like
Bonds, you guys are...
Oh, I love that
I love
because
Barry Bonds. I'm okay with that.
It was also if you're looking at rappers of the universe, then we have Lil Wayne, in that period of his hot streak, when he's doing the guest verses on killing other people's songs. Barry Bonds was just like another tick off the list for Lil Wayne. I was just like, damn, Lil Wayne brought it here. But you didn't like it?
No, I just...
You weren't big on Wayne at that time?
I was... everyone is big on Wayne at that time.
definitely,
But I just feel there's nothing special about the way that track sounds, and I didn't take anything from it.
Okay.
Thematically.
Huh.
I don't know if you guys differ on that. I don't know.
I mean, it was...
If you listen to that song, what do you actually...
It's just dope rapping and a good beat. Nah, and that's not enough.
Yeah, cool. You're entitled to that.
No, you are. You're wrong, but you are. I mean,
What else for
graduation? It was just so personally, it's one of my favorite albums. But looking back at it, I do kind of feel like it didn't age as well as the songs just don't sound as good as what I thought they sound like
That's
now.
because you've heard, I think at that time, that was one of the first albums we got.
Yeah,
with
like
that electronic sort of influence.
I mean, even in
many
even in general, there were still some moments where he was just on that old Kanye tip, like Everything I Am and The Glory.
Yeah.
Two brilliant songs,
Amazing.
But
you guys? I don't know if you guys were into Coldplay at that time. That was when Coldplay was still for me some very soulful, genuine music.
Yeah.
Not like they are now.
Yeah.
I love that Chris Martin.
like on Homecoming.
Yeah.
A lot of people were. It's funny.
The keys in that too. I thought that was such a great track.
That's
Another thing
probably
that
the
made
most
me,
infectious melody on the whole.
made me think about seeing Kanye in a stadium again. It was one of those songs where I was
Yeah.
bro, like if Kanye had to be on stage and then Chris Martin came out behind him and started playing keys or something, I would have been like, that album just made me daydream so much about seeing Kanye live more than any other album had before.
Yeah.
Because I guess possibly
And that was his goal
just
for it.
symptomatic of us being in South Africa though. There was this assumption like we would listen to a lot of music and in our minds be like, we're probably never going to see this live.
He actually was in the country the year before. I found out looking back, but I didn't think it was like a very big concert. It was like one of those mini things.
Like a lot of the time though, we would think like, man, it would be crazy if they came here. Like remember like when Eminem came here, it was like the biggest thing just because people had been waiting for Eminem and we waited so long.
Yeah.
There were like 40-year-olds,
that sort of thing.
Straight from work.
Slowing the student time.
Yeah.
And we had like I had that same sort of thing. I was like, man, Kanye's probably not going to come to Cape Town.
Yeah.
And how old were we when Graduation came out?
Grade 8.
I was
14.
I was 11. So I was still in grade 5.
Like at that point as well, I was like, and even if he does come, how am I going to convince my parents?
Yeah. You would never go,
But I was
Money
like,
and-
if it could happen, this is the album that I wanted it for. And just those...
For me,
I think Graduation has a really close place in my heart because I used to play it a lot. I used to probably have my first sort of delusions of grandeur when I would fantasize about being this great drummer or just being an actor or like it made me think so big.
It's that battery in the back. Actually, there's a very beautiful personal story that I have towards it. At the time, I got given Graduation. My both of my parents chipped in to buy it for me. I don't know who it was, but they were both there to give it to me and present it as a gift. And then my mom would just leave it in the CD after I would just be in the car with her and, you know, listen to the album. And she would actually listen to it on her own, even if I wasn't there. And she was telling me that she really enjoyed the success story of Champions, you know, that whole perspective of kind of talking about what his dad would do, you know, just to make sure that things were okay for them, and calling him a champion for that. And at the time, my mom was doing a lot, you know, double shift or at 2 jobs or something like that. So it was, like I said, the battery in the back for her, like something that's just like, damn, I can take on this day coming up when I put this album on.
Yeah.
It was just Kanye's. I always feel this with graduation. It was the last time where Kanye had a quote unquote classic album that was undisputed, or as undivided as what his albums.
As in everyone likes.
Yeah. Or majority at least. Where it's not like there's a clear crowd that hates graduation. There's a clear crowd that loves graduation.
No,
we know that happens with everything after that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does get quite divisive.
Everything after.
Were there people who hated Watch the Throne?
Yeah.
Really? I thought that was just I knew there were people who thought it was average.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, not hated, but just they don't feel it the way that everyone else felt.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, sure.
With the first 3 albums, Kanye was just like, you know, Kanye, damn, you've done it again. Let's keep it going. And then we know after that. And
it's literally weird.
Yo, man, and
old Kanye
it literally that, and it just like after that, it's just a totally different. His career just takes on a different trajectory from after that, and we know that it came from the biggest life events probably of his life before the birth of his kids and his marriage was his mom passing. And I actually remember getting the text from my dad that day because he knew how much Kanye meant to me. Did you read the news? Kanye's mom just passed. And it was not even long after graduation had come out. So I was just like, damn, like that's crazy, you know. It was what was supposed to be like another victory lap for him becomes this moment where it's just like grief and I can't imagine unbelievable pain or whatever. Mm-hmm. So we see how that just changes his direction musically forever. Like literally, because what I mean, like what?
And I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just
what has he
about
done?
What happens next?
Oh yeah. But what happens next is,
Calamity.
You know,
catastrophe.
Heart 808s.
I guess that's a good segue. Yeah, let's jump into 808s.
Yeah. So just the strongest opinion you can get yours out the way.
Yeah, I think.
You want me to do it first?
Yeah.
I hate 808s.
Oh.
And I would break up.
Sorry. Yeah. I find it almost unlistenable. It's from Kanye. I thought it was lazy because, like, up to this point, we've spoken about how he gets his influences, and they come through, and he's so good at sampling, and he's so good at finding these nuggets of brilliance in. Not even just music, but things that he's seen and heard, and brings them in. Yeah. And I know that Kanye, spoke about this being as the first. What did he say? The first Black New Wave album. I think he said about it. What was that? The genre he said?
For 808s.
Can't remember.
Yeah, I remember.
That would be such a Kanye thing.
I read an interview where he said this is the first ever Black New Wave album.
Same with Pablo. It's like it's a gospel album. The same sort of thing. Yeah.
And I was like, I mean. Probably not though, because it was
not.
It for me felt like the laziest knockoff of a genre. It spawned like hatred for autotune that took me years to get over. Because I'm an adult. I realize that autotune is a tool the same as distortion on a guitar or
it's an instrument. Yeah. And you can say that Kanye is very bad at autotune.
Yeah, I think that's putting it nicely.
Just him singing was also different to me because I was very young at that point. So my idea of a rapper, like trying to not really go back in the previous conversation, but my idea of a rapper was kind of limited, you know, just like a rapper raps, you know. And he's not rapping on the first single. I remember when he premiered Love Lockdown on the VMAs.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, what's going on here? This dude's singing, and he's not that great of a singer, you know. You know, he's just singing.
Yeah, especially live. That would expose
you as well. And you know, so I was like, okay, this is weird, but all right, maybe the next track he'll sing. What's the next single? Heartless, and he's still singing in autotune, you know. I was like trying to understand what's going on here as a young mind, you know. I'm like, okay, I'm not used to artists just changing up their sounds like this, because my knowledge is like here, you know, it's in one pool. And he's just becoming something that I never expected from him. And we're just watching it unfold, and it was a very confusing moment for me. Years later, I would say as recently as like 2013 or something like that. And I have a friend in school that's just like, damn, but 808s was fire. I'm like, nah, man, that was alright. And he's like, nah, dude, listen to it again. And I still think that when I listened to it then, I liked it more, but I still think it didn't impact me as much as I would say, you know, his other albums did. But listening to it after finishing school and going through some stuff, a little bit of a understanding of the world, and I feel like my optimism for life is kind of like waned at that point, because, you know, life.
Anyway, to get you through that.
Yeah, you know, I'm listening to Say You Will, and I'm just like, whoa. Okay, this shit is hard, and it's winter. I'm just like, damn, this is crazy. And it became like a winter album for me that I was just like, okay, this is something that actually I need to give it more respect to. And I was even thinking about how with this album, the sequencing on here is better than all three albums, I really feel like, because there's no change in dramatic type of beat. There's no skits like the first album.
There's no change in anything on this album.
What do you mean though? Because like the songs just flow better. They have almost like a cohesive sound. I'm not saying that all the songs are amazing. I do feel like the first half is great, and then the second half I kind of get.
You can say the same thing about Amigos' album.
No, but
because they all sound so similar, they flow very well. Because there's not a lot of variation.
Heartless doesn't sound like Love Lockdown. Say You Will doesn't sound like Welcome to the Heartbreak.
Yeah. I don't pick up any. So there's nothing on this album that like jumps out to me. So if we can separate this into like my initial reaction when I heard it and like what I think now. Because I know when I heard it, like what year was this?
2008. 10 years ago.
Very, very much in the middle of my super, I don't want to say rebellious, that's a terrible word. Like I wasn't getting along with my dad so much, so I was trying to cut myself off from that type of music. I was trying to get the most different, most wild, most out there music.
Yeah.
Like the weirdest
like
stuff that I could find.
The teeniest teen moment.
Yeah. But having said that, I didn't stop listening to Kanye because that music still spoke to me.
Yeah.
So I as much as I was looking for, the previous albums, as much as I was now looking for the weirdest, most hardcore, like horrorcore rap, like you know, weird stuff about like
killing and stuff.
Yeah, I just wanted the most hot, like, oh my god, like I got super into Wu-Tang at that point in my life, and I was like, yes, this is it. And I was the softest kid.
Immortal Techniques.
Sorry? I was about to say.
Heck yeah, you guys listen to Dance of the Devil? That twist though. I was
like every white friend.
This is a real rapper. This guy says stuff.
He rapes his mom at the end. Like that's the punchline. I was like, dog, don't play this for me again.
Yeah, why are you so excited about this being in a song? That's kind of dog.
Yeah.
Like at that point when I was trying to be, I just everything about normalcy was so grating and annoying to me. It's very much teenage angst that I wanted to be.
Yeah.
You know, this different thing, but the message and the stuff that I was getting from Kanye from those three albums stuck with me, and it was kind of always in my rotation. College Dropout, not so much, but late registration, graduation, still playing it. And when this hit my ears, I was like, man, why is Kanye making pop music? I'm not okay with this. I don't mind the fact that Graduation was popular. Hipster wasn't a thing back then, so I didn't mind that everyone loved my music. It wasn't, like when everyone gets put on your underground rapper and you're like, you guys weren't there when he was this. I didn't even feel that kind of way at that point. I was just like, yeah, Kanye's doing so big. Look at everyone hearing this guy. Finally, people, feel the way that we feel. But I didn't get that from this album. It just felt like a sellout. I remember, because I was a horrible teen with no emotional depth. So I was like, man, you handled this totally wrong. Your mom would be disappointed in you, that sort of thing. Like I felt like that. I was like, why would you do this? Like, you're better than this. You should have made it better.
I disagree with the sellout point.
Yeah.
No. But I'm saying this is what oh my gosh, guys! I introduced this as my childish, child's reaction to it.
Okay,
I don't think that now. Now I just think that it's like
it's not a
misguided attempt to sort of musically bring across an emotion that I don't think he hits it very well. I don't think it's because I think we spoke about this at some point when we were speaking about autotune. About that. Oh man, on Blonde, what's the autotune? The Stevie
Nikes.
No, the Stevie Close.
Close to you.
That's really cool. That song was one of my favorites, and not many people like it that much.
I think that's a talk box though. That's different to autotune.
Yeah, but that sort of
instrument
distorted or instrumentation on vocals when that previous skit, Facebook story, when he's talking about he wants to have this real relationship and she's very much talking about this digital, and then he goes into this cover of a song that's about intimacy and closeness, but the whole time it's through this artificial talk box, and the juxtaposition there is just so great. And it's the same thing as we've spoken about this before, like playing fast or having a really grungy tone, or like when drummers can do these super fast blast beats or whatever. I'm like, if there's no purpose to this, then I'm impressed at the fact that you can do that, but just know that I'm not enjoying what you're doing. And I just felt like that. I felt like it was a misuse of his talent. He's still quite clearly a talented producer on this album. The fact that he could do this type of music the way that he did is still impressive to me, especially looking back at the time. Like now it's not that impressive, but when he did it was very impressive to have that sort of range as a producer, I thought. And I think that's why I still give it some props. But emotionally, this album doesn't touch me at all. But I think that's because of the sonics. Like the same way as I think if I had to talk about a black metal album, if I had to give it to you guys, you probably wouldn't draw the same thing out of it from me because it would be grating to your ears. I'm just assuming, because I know you guys don't listen to a lot of metal, especially not like your black metal or Norwegian.
So this
stuff
is
like that.
discomforting when you listen to it.
Yeah. I struggled to get through it when we were doing my listen through for this podcast.
I loved it a lot, and it made me realize that for me, it flows better than anything that he's ever done. But I don't say that it's a crowning achievement as well. It was what he had to get out, which is what I feel was most important, because given the circumstance, I'm not really expecting, damn, give us a classic. That's kind of weird. That's the first. And you see it now these days,
But having said that, Heartbreak has given us a lot of classics.
It has, but
other artists.
But no one's really like, no sane person or regular person or someone that's just not an asshole should be doing that. Oh damn, you just broke up with this girl, I can't wait for this. I see the jokes and stuff like that, and I understand, but when you really look at it,
oh no, I'm not saying that as fans we should be.
Oh no, that's the running joke with Future and Drake. It's like, oh damn, they just went through some heartbreak, this album's gonna be fine. Nah, especially for something not even like a breakup, but I think at this point as well it was a breakup because him and his fiance at the time split up. It was just something that he had to let out. And I'm not mad at it, is what I'll say.
Sure. Yeah. Keagan?
I don't hate it as much as you do, for example.
See, this is funny because I was under the impression that you liked 808s.
No, it's my least favorite Kanye album.
Okay.
It is my least favorite.
But you just don't hate it.
I just don't hate it.
Yeah.
Wow. You just do that thing where I talk about something that I hate, and then you just say, "No, it's amazing. I love it," to annoy me. That's why this has happened.
I've never said that I love this album.
Okay, I'm just very.
That's you.
I've gotten confused. Okay.
Yeah. I applaud the sort of decision to use autotune in a way that we haven't heard it in hip hop before. Up to then, what did we have? We had T-Pain using autotune for your run-of-the-mill club anthems.
Very much a hook guy.
But he was. But he was. The thing is, T-Pain was good at that, bro. Like.
Yeah.
So
but like. Interesting to note because we now know that T-Pain can sing.
Without it, yeah.
He's a great singer. Underneath the autotune, he has an amazing.
So I really do understand I always felt like he just doesn't use autotune well, Kanye.
Yeah.
It takes a skill. I don't believe that everyone. If you're gonna use it right, is what I'll say.
Yeah.
And he didn't do it right, but I also feel like it kind of worked for some of the songs.
He's no Charlie XCX.
This is my point. Yeah. I don't think it works very well with his voice. I don't think it turns him into a good singer by any stretch of the imagination. But
he actually sounds worse with it.
Yeah.
Because on Hey Mama, I was like, damn, this guy can sing.
But
and then on Love Like Down, I was like, this can't sing.
Yeah.
I know there was one song on this album that I liked. I can't remember the name because this is probably like the fourth time I've listened to it.
Wow.
Was this time now? I can't remember. I think it might have been Streetlights.
Yeah. That's a great job.
But I remember that was the only one where I was like, oh wow, maybe this album's going to turn around for me. And then it didn't.
For me, that album has a great run from the intro up until Streetlights.
Yeah.
That's a long run.
Yeah.
That's 7 tracks.
Okay, well, maybe not RoboCop. I hated RoboCop.
I despise RoboCop as well.
So maybe
the worst track on the album for me is right before the best track on the album, which is funny.
So say you will up until Paranoid, I really enjoyed that run.
Okay.
But I think for Kanye at this point, he was just trying to see what he can just do with music. I think this is when he starts becoming experimental and daring. And we obviously know that he is also not at the best state of mind because of what was going on in his life. And we're looking at the different inspirations for this album. Obviously, tragically was the breakup between him and his fiance and the death of his mom. But shortly afterwards, he gets involved in a relationship with none other than Amber Rose. And, and we're watching this, I think the first time I saw Amber Rose was on the Taylor Swift VMA day. And obviously he does the whole thing of getting up on stage and interrupting her, and the whole world's like, what are you doing, Kanye? And it's just like it's falling down on him.
Mm-hmm.
And then we know that this leads him to go into a hiatus to Hawaii. And I think what I would like to get to is just get to, how this transition helped him become more experimental with sounds in a way that it will be a better success than what 808s would be. Because I do feel like on the following album, we talked about the jump from College Dropout to Late Registration. The jump from 808s to Dark Twisted Fantasy is unbelievable.
Yeah. But also kind of magnified by the fact that 808s is not as good as College Dropout.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just looking at if you do a bad album, what are your expectations on the next album?
Sure.
You kind of go into I don't see it. Especially the things going on in his outside life. The whole world hates him, And he's just like, okay, this dude is out the game at this point. And he just comes back in such a way that was just like, oh man, so I think 808s was a good jumping ball for him to be more experimental, more daring, and less, have less inhibitions with his approach to music. So he just becomes more like acceptive of different ideas, which is basically what Dark Twisted Fantasy was.
Keagan, you want to come a bit closer? I think you kind of shifting out of frame there. So is the sun hitting your face? Sorry, I strategically placed you there.
Thanks.
Because your future's so bright. That felt dirty to say.
You're gonna edit this out.
I'm just gonna say like I moved it there on purpose, and then edit to us laughing. Like, oh man, they really liked it when he said that. Look how funny his friends think he is. That's my plan. I gotta say, I was also pretty skeptical going into
Definitely,
Twisted Fantasy, but that is the most grandiose kind of it's almost disgusting how big and just full the album feels when I listen to it. It was
literally like
all the time.
a project where he was just bringing in every single musician in the industry of the music industry, in the history of the music industry, to help him out. Because if you read the articles about what he was doing and why, he was just there, and they would be calling up different people. Like there's an oral history that I was reading.
An oral history you were reading? Don't you listen to it?
No, you can read an oral history as well.
Okay.
Oh, it's like the people talking about it. So
so someone transcribed.
Yeah.
Cool.
The oral history. Might have to edit that out.
I gave myself a tough edit.
The oral history of the process behind Dark Twisted Fantasy, and it's just the different collaborators speaking about how did they become involved and stuff like that. And I actually view it more. People like to liken Yeezus and To Pimp a Butterfly a lot. I actually look at. They also do the same with my Dark Twisted Fantasy with To Pimp a Butterfly. I look at them more like twins than what Yeezus would be, because it was the same, project or the same mindset or approach. I'm just gonna call in some dudes that are gonna be a part of this project, and this project is just gonna, almost change the game. It's gonna mean something to my name. This is like a definite make or break moment, especially for Kanye, because at this point no one wanted to even know what he was up to except for his devoted fans. And it starts off with the brilliant campaign strategy of the Good Friday releases. I didn't catch up on it. I actually caught late to it. When I created my Twitter account, it was the week that My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy came out. So one of my first followers was Kanye. And I'm looking at him asking, what are the reactions to the song that just dropped on the previous Good Friday, and obviously leading up to the release of My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. And he was just so strategic, and the execution was just so perfect on it. And he really did a good ass job, which is what he wanted to call it. Good ass job. He did that.
For me, this is the album that I sort of followed every little nugget that was dropped up to its release.
Exactly.
Every little thing.
Oh, like MySpace or something.
Just like there was that site, Hot New Hip Hop.
Yeah.
That every time they dropped a Good Friday track, I was on that. Every time there was a snippet of all of the lights that was called Ghetto University beforehand.
Drake even had a
verse that was cut that was terrible. That was the most I'd ever looked forward to an album ever. And when
it was my first in real time album. When now we're waiting for an album online. It was my first in real time release of an album. Oh shit! Okay, so I'm watching the reaction of the world to this album.
That's true. I just remember there was even that video, the Runaway video.
The movie. The first thing was actually his VMA performance. The VMA when he comes up with the red suit and he has two keys on the keyboard. Literally two keys.
Literally everyone is music there.
And actually it's crazy because he was singing on that as well, but I didn't have the same aversion to it that I did with Love Like Dawn. I was like, okay, wow, this is great, and the beat was just, great, and the performance was just wow.
Some of the runs do kind of make me laugh now, though.
Some of the what?
The runs. all the runs.
Oh, when he was singing?
Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't like great, but the
Yeah.
performance was just damn.
Like sometimes I have a good chuckle just picturing Kanye in the booth, like without the autotune, just going like because some of his stuff really is. It's just.
Are you talking about the 9-minute version of
when the outro to run.
Yeah, like
the 3-minute
which
like
is really
auto-tune
funny to
thing?
me.
Yeah.
I actually think that's like that's the best auto-tune use in Kanye's career. It's so beautiful to me.
Yeah.
I was like,
It's very funny though. I don't know. I always have a chuckle. But it doesn't grate
It's
me the
funny
way
to
the
think
808s does.
how he'd be recording that.
Yeah,
That would be
like
pretty
pre-auto-tune, it's just a guy in a booth going, because we know he's not the best singer as well, so you know there are a couple of weird little jumps. And
I just think about like, you know, there's an emotion that comes from that. He's not saying a single word on that 3-minute, but it's just like, damn, I'm feeling this. The way that it comes in, just that album was crazy. So the VMA performance, you said you were following it up. How I saw it was the VMA performance, and then the release of Power.
Yeah.
And I was
that little 2 minutes.
Yeah, that 2-minute video. I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
You know, and I was angered at the fact that this song is 2 minutes, you know.
Yeah.
And then I heard the radio version, but it's got like 4 verses, you know.
Yeah.
He just keeps going in on the album version. And just leading up to it, I was like, damn, this album is sounding incredible.
Yeah.
The rollouts was, I think it was the last time Kanye had a great rollout. Okay, Watch the Throne, but that's him and Jay-Z, so it's not really like Kanye on his own. But that was the last time that Kanye on his own had a great album rollout.
yeah.
Like, think about the fact that Good Friday ran for 3 months, you know.
Yeah.
And I think the only time, he only had like one problem with the leak of a song. But it was just perfect. Leading up to, the momentum was just too good.
Yeah.
And it seemed like he had won the world over again.
Yeah.
For me, definitely. He did that for me.
Yeah. For me, just start to finish, if we're getting to, you know, the actual tracks and the album.
Yeah.
I think if we're looking start to finish, just the way he flirts between different topics. You get the first 3 tracks that change up between sort of social politics that you get on
Gorgeous. Oh, man.
into more sort of almost self-hatred sort of themes in Power, in a sense.
Yeah. But it was also self-hatred in what way? What line?
Or just not really self-hatred, but sort of guess acknowledging your faults in a sense. Yeah,
I feel like that
was the theme on the whole.
I feel like Runaway. Yeah.
Yeah.
Power is just like a big FU to South Park,
Yeah.
SNL, the world.
Yeah. No, it is.
But obviously he did say I was the abomination.
Yeah.
Of His nation, and that. So there was mixture of that, but it was also just like, but stuff you, I'm still Kanye, you know.
Yeah.
And y'all thought it was. I thought you thought I was finished. Nah. And it was just damn, dude.
And for me, those 3 tracks.
Dwele coming in with the harmonies at the end, yo. I just got it. Sorry.
Yeah.
That was just crazy. Of Power. Ways beautiful death jumping out the window. Oh my god, bro. Like he was just man. Like it was just shit. It felt like a blockbuster movie.
Yeah.
And the shit is just like going crazy and crazy as I'm watching it.
Yeah. For me, those first 3 tracks are probably the best technical rapping in his whole
career.
Yeah. I mean, Gorgeous? You think there's any track bar for bar that can compete with Gorgeous and Power?
I do think that, I mean, Kanye said New Slaves is the best verse ever in hip hop. So maybe he would argue with that. I do think that his rapping on Late Registration was slightly better. Diamonds, that I always feel like that's definitively wrong. But we spoke about his ghost writers. So
yeah,
I know that rhyme fist.
That's why I said.
Yeah.
I was speaking about the rapping and not Kanye. Yeah.
So I mean, I know that rhyme fist had a huge hand in Gorgeous.
Yeah.
But he was killing it. And the theme.
And his delivery was
on fire. And it was like the jokes, but he wasn't really like joking this time.
Yeah.
Like he was joking, but you weren't supposed to laugh. The what's a black beetle anyway? Effing Roach. You know, it's like, oh my god, bro. Like he was just but great. I felt like that should have been the intro. I love Dark Fantasy. I love Dark Fantasy, but I felt like if Gorgeous was the intro,
I think the little spoken word of Nicki Minaj is the perfect little
hated that film.
setting for the album.
I hated that.
No, I like the scene being set. I think going too big in the beginning would have been a mistake. I like that primer. I like that. Yeah. Like I said, my favorite type of sort of interludes or things that are on full tracks or something that switches your mindset or gears you up for something. And I like that. When I listen to this album, I always play it.
Yeah.
I don't go to the next. I play it.
The sequencing was better though, definitely. I had a version of the album that was weird. I had a version of the album that was Dark Fantasy Gorgeous, but then it was Who Will Survive in America.
No,
I know that's wrong.
Yeah, that's
that comes at the end. I had a version that starts with
probably just throw it out the wall.
Yeah. But what it did for me is like
it's like my XX album.
Yeah.
But what it did for me is when I heard the Jill Scott Heron spoken word on the Lost in the World beat, I was like, damn, okay, this sounds crazy. Yeah. Then when they bring in Lost in the World at the end of the album, I was like, damn, that's crazy. The second track is it was just weird how that happened. But that's why I have some ways about how I would reshuffle the order of the songs. Yeah. But
Bon Iver was funky as all hell.
Yeah.
Oh man.
It's such a surprising feature for me.
But think about
not a surprising feature. What he did was
Bon Iver is like part of the whole idea of My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. It's all these people: Elton John, Adam Levine.
But
Fergie.
those types of people seem more like musical chameleons to me than Bon Iver does.
Obviously,
You listen to Bon Iver's first project.
This is obviously before we got his recent work, which was a massive departure. But having just from what he had released there, and then seeing his name, and then I was like, okay. And I was very confused, but then what came out of it, I thought that was a really good concept.
And I think that's one of the strengths of this album as well, is that he uses every guest in a way that's
but he's always been that dope with collaborations. He actually acknowledged it, like going back to Lost Call, he had the line, put Freer on a track with Mos Def, put Kweli on a track with Jay-Z, I'm the Gap, Banana Republic and Old Navy. Like that's always been Kanye's calling, to bring in musicians that you would never imagine. Bon Iver and Charlie Wilson. I was just like, damn, this shit sounds amazing. Man, it's just like it's unbelievable what he did with that album. He became like, so Kanye's always been fascinated with having his name next to bigger artists beyond hip hop. He's like Quincy Jones on that album, and he architected it in such a way that was just like, yo, this was just one massive collaboration. That's why I liken it to Pimp Butterfly. Mm-hmm. It was just this one massive pushing from these different elements, and it just brings about a completely different sound. Yeah, that was just a
completely different sound, but also in some ways, it sort of incorporates everything that he's
been doing
up to that point.
Yeah.
Like Devil in the New Dress, when that came in, I was like, oh
yeah. That was the only track that's not produced by
Bink and Mike Dean did a great job on that.
You did a good ass job again.
Yeah, I didn't want to say that. But speaking about that, we're speaking about rappers and who wrote what. Apparently, Rick Ross didn't write his verse on that.
No.
Someone is like, if you rap that verse in the voice of Pusha T, you can tell that they were saying Pusha T wrote it. Just rap that verse over and think of Pusha T's voice.
That's not a surefire way to tell.
But that wasn't the reason. But they were just saying, there's a rumor that Pusha T wrote that verse, and then think about it, rap it like how Pusha T was saying. I was like, damn, I was mind blown by that because I kind of can hear it. In this cadence. That was a great verse. That was just like a oof, and the way that it comes in. Yeah. Some of the things that happens on that album, just it's perfect. Actually, I think the only song that I didn't like was Monster.
Monster.
Yeah.
What? Why?
Because the Nicki Minaj, not in my hipster, but the Nicki Minaj verse wasn't bad. I'm not saying it was bad. I'm saying she did do a good job. Like she rapped well, right? Mm-hmm. But then it became a thing. This is the greatest verse in hip hop.
That's not her fault.
That's not her fault.
Yeah.
It's not her fault, but now I can't do anything about it when I'm starting to feel some type of way of the song. It's like every time I hear it. And also, it's just like, it's like not really the best produced song on the album as well. When we have such great production previously, you know, on Gorgeous, on Devil in Dress, So Cold, I think was a great beat.
I like how lo-fi that track is actually.
So cool.
No, Monster. I like the lo-fi vibe of it. I think it actually fits with the theme of the song, with where it is on the album. It was very. I think it was supposed to sound gritty and kind of grainy in a way, which is why I don't think it was badly produced. I think he mixed it like that on purpose. For me, maybe I'm giving him too much credit, but when I hear that, I don't hear like because the album itself is mixed superbly. I don't believe for a second
as well
that he did the album and then at the end he was like, leave Monster, just put it out. For me, it's intentional.
Monster,
and then when
Monster
you listen to it with that in mind and try and get, you know, the feeling of the track that would have been lost if it was maybe, you know, produced to sound a lot smoother. And I think for me, it adds to the song. It adds to the track for me.
I think I feel the way you feel about Barry Bonds with Monster.
Fair enough.
Or, you know, someone would feel about 2 words or something like that. It was like a rapping track, you know.
But I felt like there was a theme. I felt like it was very on the nose.
On the song, but how does it fit with the album?
With the album? I didn't hate it.
Now, how does it fit with the album?
Oh, are you asking me how it fits into the theme of the album?
Yeah, the theme of the album.
Or the theme or the run?
The theme, because you're saying there's a theme to the song, right? Which is the whole...
Not that there's a theme to there's a theme to all the verses, like they all are...
All about monsters and being, you know... I just thought that it was just a rapping track to me that I did like, then the internet made me not like it.
Sure. I feel like I've if I put that next to songs that are just like feel like a cipher or like what you were saying, I don't
like Barry Bonds.
Yeah, I don't get the same feeling as from Barry Bonds as I do for this.
Yeah.
Just because like there's more of a cohesive quality to this.
Yeah. I really think Jay-Z had that great of a verse as well. Like looking back, it was just like it was lukewarm to me. Kanye's verse was cool because some lines were funny here and there. Rick Ross had like a tune. It was just like, all right, this is cool.
You like Blame Game?
Of course.
Oh man, I love it.
I was so worried for a second. I was like,
no.
I love Blame Game.
Yeah,
that
beautiful. Have you ever seen a live performance of it as well?
He performs it live.
Wonderful, yeah.
How does he do the whole octave change of the voices in the second verse? Does he? Does he not just
I think he switches up the whole structure. Of the
I'd
song.
love to hear it.
Yeah, that'd be cool actually.
But John Legend
kills
it.
Yeah. It was his song actually. It was like Kanye and John Legend.
Yeah.
Because in that beginning, I just thought it was such a beautiful. You know, hearing John Legend say as well was also very funny.
Yeah.
But the Chris Rock interlude at the end, I was just like appreciating how much Kanye thought a Chris Rock interlude at the end of the song would fit it perfectly. Such a serious song about, you know, like damn, betrayal.
Yeah.
You know, we're fighting, we're arguing. And then it's just like this dude praising his girl, but it's so brilliant because he's talking about who this girl came from a relationship with Kanye,
and
you
all
know?
the stuff she learned from Kanye, which most people would be jealous about. It's great.
And it's sandwiched between the two of the most vulnerable tracks on the album.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Blame Game.
Oh, you're saying, well then, okay, the interlude itself is sandwiched.
Yeah.
Sure.
I really enjoyed it. Lost in the World as well.
You said which one was a bad track for you?
Just Monster.
Just Monster. And for you?
Nothing.
Pretty much,
Absolutely nothing.
I'm on the same tip as you.
Zero.
Yeah.
I think it was just perfectly executed.
Yeah. I remember hearing All of the Lights is probably the most radio friendly track of the whole album. I remember hearing that for the first time and picking out all the different sounds.
When that video came, bro, and it's just like the crazy neon lights.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, I love that rollout.
Yeah.
I have such good memories of how Kanye brought that, you know, whole thing about. I was just glad to see him like come back harder than before.
Yeah.
But
we're pretty unanimous on this album, I think.
Yeah.
I will say this though, before like we move on. I don't think that it's his magnum opus.
What
And
do you think is then?
we'll get to that because we're gonna do the rankings, right? But I want to say I only say that because I've always been fascinated by Kanye's career, or Kanye's like following now, right? That view him like a god, like, you know, Kanye has like this fandom that's just like, you know, and these are people that are like devoted to his fashion, to his music, and to any of his other projects, his art approach. I was wondering to myself, like, why are these people so fascinated by Kanye? You know, like, I mean, I understand being a stan of a musician, but like, there's someone that's just there's a group of people that just love him that much. And where did this start from? And I've only like recently realized that My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy was like the gateway for a lot of dudes to become like massive Kanye fans. Mm-hmm. So they were just good. You know, I'm enjoying his music on the first 3 and the first 4 albums, but then he came back with this album that's obviously critically acclaimed, number 1 on the list of, you know, the album reviews. What's that site that does the ratings?
Pitchfork?
Not Pitchfork. Metacritic. Yeah. Giving it like a 9. You know, one of the first 2 albums before Good Kid and Black and Damn would come out. So I'm just like, okay, cool. So Kanye's got this massive like love for this album, and it carried on the momentum for people to say that Yeezus is a great album. The Life of Pablo is a great album. It's the same people that view My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy as the greatest album of all time, that call themselves, you know, Kanye fanatics. It started from there, and what I noticed with the album is that people, I would say, basically my point is that people can overrate it.
Sure.
And that's when I'm starting to think to myself, okay, wait, but you know, this is not... They must feel like it's Kanye's first good album. And that's what I started to see when they talk about Kanye's like discography. Okay. And obviously our timelines are very different. Yeah. So I'm just looking at it from what I see. It's like, damn, Kanye will never make another album like My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. But I'm like, what? But he made Late Registration and College Dropout, and he made the Blueprint, you know, like, well, what are you discrediting?
I most definitely try and keep public opinion completely out of my...
Yeah, you have to.
Out of your...
The way that I think about anything. That's why the monster thing doesn't even affect me that people talk about Nicki's wrist like they do. Because I don't care. Like, I've never thought to care what anyone thinks about Nicki Minaj. So, wow, did I say that weird?
But like
Minaj.
But it's just the same.
It doesn't affect me. So when people talk about, say, Damn, as opposed to Tip of a Butterfly, because you know how I feel about the album. You guys know, like, when people talk about it being better and whatever, I'm like, I mean, cool, whatever. Nah, it doesn't affect me at all. And people,
have you ever had those moments
super stan
where like you were like a hipster for someone, and then they grew bigger, and it's like, I'm not feeling this guy. Have you ever had those moments?
No, but when I have those moments, I get annoyed that like people are talking about someone that, and my gripe with it is more people pretending like they've always been the fan.
So it doesn't change your view on it. Okay.
No, not at all. If anything, I like when artists blow up because I'm like, oh, thank God he can keep making music. Yeah. He doesn't have to sell his like, especially because like I know a lot of indie bands and hardcore bands and stuff like that where like I follow the guys on Twitter and they have to like auction off their used drum kits and stuff because like they can't afford to go on tour or like do recordings and stuff, and I'm like, crowdfunding. As much as I really like having you to myself, I wish you had a bit more success so that you could have been fine. And it's never affected me that the way that people talk about this album.
For me, then it's just a social media generation, Mark, where it's like the moment that my timeline, like, not to be that person, but the moment where they overstate its brilliance or its quality, where I feel like, okay, it's getting to a level, it's like, damn, Kanye changed music forever with Dark Twisted Fantasy. I'm like, come on, man, that was just a very strong album.
I think what it does for me is it changes my opinion of fans. So it's the same as like Rick and Morty for me is still an
Good.
amazing show.
Yeah,
It's brilliant,
but
and
the
it's,
fans-
best cartoon possibly on television. Maybe BoJack Horseman could be in there and fighting with.
I
it.
get what you're saying,
But
it doesn't.
It
change.
has the most toxic fan base
Yeah.
on the face of the planet. They're
But that
terrible.
doesn't change your view on Rick and Morty.
But if someone asks me, I'm not gonna now say, Rick and Morty's okay, like people talk about it too much, like people go on about it like it's the best thing they ever have. I don't really think so. I will nail my colors to the mast for Rick and Morty, and I'll accept the invariable comments of like, oh, you just think it's good because you're like smarter than everyone. The same as when people are like, oh, you're a Kanye fan, you're one of those. Like, it doesn't affect me, like, because I'm not as active as you on social media, so I don't have much of like a cloud. No, like I can't destroy my reputation because I have no.
I'm also irrelevant, but I get.
No, but this is like the core, like the people
The thing
who
is, for
follow
me,
me
like
or whatever.
if I see a trash opinion online, it just makes me grateful that I don't have that trash opinion.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
No, but I understand you, but it just like it makes me want to talk to those people and make them understand, like, not like that, like I'm not like obsessing over other people's opinions and like my day depends on them, but like when you see something that's like a constant, it's like almost a repetitive parrot talk. It's just like, oh, this Nicki Minaj verse is the top 10 greatest rap verses of all time. Then I'm just gonna look at that verse like, you know what, you've ruined this verse for me.
Okay, no.
There's some people that so some people have ruined Rick and Morty for a lot of people. I'm not saying that fantasy has been ruined for me, but it has been like kind of like I had to be like, okay, I don't want to just join in the crowd that believes that this is the best album that we'll ever hear in our lifetime.
yeah.
Because there are people that feel that way.
But I think you're allowed to do that without changing what you thought about the album at all.
Yeah. No, I still believe I just believe it's a great album. Listening to it again recently just made me like realize how good it is.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that I've just been seeing this praise for it.
Yeah.
And then I had to listen to it again. I was like, okay, this is still, I still believe this is a dope album.
Yeah. I think time-wise, let's just kind of
Yeah, let's move on. Maybe
go through these next couple.
I don't even think we should bring up Watch the Throne because that's a duo. But we can talk about it in the rankings.
Yeah.
All right.
That's cool.
Cool. Well, just like top line thoughts, Watch the Throne for you.
It was a good experience. So, two big rappers doing the collab album that the world had been waiting for. It was a good moment.
Yeah.
It wasn't a long-lasting album.
Pretty much how I feel about it. It's just, it doesn't quite, Jay-Z plus Kanye West doesn't quite make it the album that it should be.
Yeah.
Like, we're not getting Kanye at his best.
Maybe it was the period that it happened.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
But
I thought there were some dope features on it.
Exactly, yeah.
I think.
Yeah. But I like the Beyonce feature.
The Dream. Lift Off.
I don't particularly love the song, but I liked her feature. I thought she.
The switch up at the end was great. The
switch up is the greatest.
I know you said that time wise, but let's just take some time to appreciate the joy and what Pete Rock did for that beat, taking the Curtis Mayfield. It sounded like Curtis Mayfield was in the booth with them when they made that song. The way that it works out so well,
The way that it was left off the main.
It was on in the deluxe, but it was a Good Friday song. So maybe you just thought, okay, I'll just take one Good Friday song and add it in there. So I just love that song so much.
Yeah, for me there were some songs that don't quite hit the mark for me. Who Gon' Stop Me is not my fave. Sort of channels that dubstep.
Illest Nigga Alive has always been one of the wackest songs for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh no, I don't feel that.
No, bro, that I feel like I'm
That's a jam.
in a freaking action movie or a music video.
It's too slow for me. It's too slow.
Nah, I don't agree.
Especially because Ham follows it. Because I remember the first time I heard Ham.
I don't enjoy it.
But the only time I ever heard Ham was either I don't want to name drop. White friends of mine at like a party who'd be like, "Oh, bro, check this out," and then they put that on, and then start rapping it.
That was niggas in Paris with me, and that's why I hate niggas in Paris right now.
They'd start rapping it and then drop N-words and like get so hype about the song, and I just be like, I mean,
yeah,
it's all right. This is a decent song, I guess. Like, And that's how I felt about the album. Like,
Wasn't like life changing.
when I heard it, there were a lot of tracks that got me really excited, and I really liked them. But I like them in isolation.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a great. It's
Maybe
perfect
just
listen
in
as well.
closing, who won on that album?
Oh, Kanye won on the album.
Yeah, I also think
Without
so.
a doubt, yeah.
Yeah.
Weren't even close.
Kanye and
but
Rap Fist and Consequence and Big Sean inside, they won.
we've established that I'm not a great John Carter fan.
Who? Yeah.
Yeah, Jay-Z's not my.
Yeah.
I still think 444 is his best. But
That's crazy.
yeah.
Yeah, but that's a point.
That's another Jay-Z episode.
But yeah, it's just an.
No, we're not.
So yeah, we don't have to mention Cruel Summer as well because
Oh, definitely not.
But it speaks into the line of Kanye's whole. So Cruel Summer is basically what Kanye did on My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, where he'd facilitate, these artists and be like, okay, you come in here, let's do this, but just less appearances. He did
But
it
even
so well.
less creative control.
And less creative control, yeah. But I'm just saying, he was the one that made it like happen.
Sure.
He's just so talented at that. But
Yeah.
Cruel Summer wasn't really, except for New God flow, because God,
Yeah, no, that's a
damn, that
that's
was
a great track.
Yeah, that was.
For me, like I think I've said this to you before, but for me, what that album is just him trying to get good music.
On the
label.
maybe they were trying to like get him to get music, and he's like,
Yeah,
fine,
and
I'll
it
give
was
you one album.
sort of a
Get
trying to
away.
emulate Young Money in a sense.
At that time, it was Young Money
Yeah.
and Pro Era and ASAP Mob coming
Yeah.
out. So the click,
But that Pro Era mixtape was so flipping good, man.
yeah, there was more
difficult
of
to
a
touch.
chemistry.
Yeah.
All the other,
You could
the
tell
Odd
that
Future,
they-
the Odd Future Donuts Volume 2 that came
2.
out. That every other
The collective projects that we had been getting were so tight.
It was so that
this
was just Cruel Summer just didn't
Wasn't up
do
to
that
par.
for it.
Yeah.
It wasn't good, but it had this special moment of Travis Scott being kind of like Kanye's like mentor or whatever at the time, and we know that would be very important because it leads into the worst album of all time, Yeezus.
Oh, no. Not even. Damn, I wish we didn't have to like kind of go quickly. But yeah, go ahead.
I would say this about Yeezus. It's one thing to... I feel like artists should always have the right to change it up and be daring and experimental. Execution is always important. So you're going to go back to Pimp a Butterfly. The execution was great. It was great for me. Brilliant. Maybe even sticking with Kanye, Dark Fantasy. The execution was brilliant. I just believe that it came down to execution with Yeezus and it wasn't good.
Okay.
Yeah. Disagree. I disagree with that.
we know this.
This is the most divisive album in his discography, without a doubt.
Yeah.
And what you were saying about flow from track to track, that 808 is
The best
flow.
sequence, yeah.
I think Yeezus flows brilliantly from track to track. I don't think the momentum ever stops.
I've got to agree. I think he just flows very well.
Yeah, it flows. It's great.
What does it
I
start?
don't
It
think-
starts off with
On site.
On Side and then lessons to Black Skinhead. I don't think that was
into I'm a
good.
God, into New Slaves.
I think someone mentioned this point. Maybe it will be like a counterpoint to what you're saying. Yeezus has this one dynamic throughout, right? So with music, artists can change it up a little bit. Yeah, I think one of the criticisms you had with 808s is that you felt like it was the same. You even compared it to Migos, right? Mm-hmm. I felt like that was Yeezus, and it was just the same volume. The tracks coming in like at the sound and this. It's funny because he called in Rick Rubin to make it a more minimalist album. That's why his album cover didn't have an album cover and stuff like that. It was still so dense to me. I wonder what did it sound like before Rick Rubin stepped in, because there was just so much going on, and not in a good way. Not in the way that for free on To Pimp a Butterfly there's a lot going on, but I'm feeling because it's bebop,
Yeah, but it's a different kind of busy, that track.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
This wasn't a good busy. It just wasn't good.
I don't think it just wasn't good. I think it's just different. This might be very much a taste issue, though. I think this is...
I think it can be a quality issue as well, because what rapping was good on that?
Oh, but you're talking about the mixing, though.
Yeah,
No, I'm talking
that's
about.
a difference.
Okay. Well, I'm talking about in general for Yeezus now.
Okay, but like, because like just from a mixing point of view, I think there's definitely opinion because there are a lot of people who think that album sounds great. I think that album sounds great.
Yeah.
If like even if we take lyrics and flow out, and we're just talking about
The
production,
instrumentals?
yeah, that's
Awful.
good.
100%.
But here's where we differ because I'm a massive Death Grips fan.
Yeah.
Which is weird that I love this album because I don't like
Yeah,
Death
and he
Grips.
hates Death Grips, but he loves this album.
Yeah.
My biggest gripe with this album is that I feel like some of the noise hop stuff that he tried to do, like he did half his research.
That's what I'm saying. It sounds like he was rushing for that
So
album.
like which?
No, but to me it doesn't sound bad. It sounds like someone who's like trying a genre for the first time. It sounds like
That's why.
someone trying to do. Like on College Dropout, he gets his soul sampling so perfect.
Mm-hmm.
On Graduation, he gets these big anthemic sounds
So good.
so perfect.
Execution.
But like, yeah, but I don't. But I think you're being too hard on it though, because
There was just.
you're coming off like you're saying it's unlistenable.
It is.
See, I'm gonna have to hard disagree with you there.
It was crazy because 3 albums dropped that day. It was Born Sinner by Mac Miller. Sorry, Born Sinner by J.
Whoa.
Cole. Born Sinner by J. Cole.
Which is good.
Watching Movies with the Sound Off by Mac Miller.
Which is good.
And Yeezus, right? And in my mind, I'm like, okay, cool. So 3 albums. I haven't heard a single thing for the
Mac Miller and J. Cole.
no, the Kanye album, because I don't think.
Oh, wow.
He didn't have a single.
He didn't have a single.
Yeah.
I haven't heard it, but I'm thinking it's gonna be alright. I didn't hear Mac Miller's music too much before then. I just knew of him, and I was a J. Cole fan, but didn't really like the previous album. In my mind, I'm thinking Kanye should probably have the biggest album and the best one out of these 3 dudes. He came out dead last. Like they left him behind, and that was actually it was a defining moment for the new school of hip hop because Mac Miller and J. Cole and Kendrick represent that era along with Drake.
It's funny that I agree with you, but only because I think those are great albums. I love watching movies, and I
don't even
watching
think they
it.
should be compared.
But they came out on the same day.
Of course, they should be.
It's like the day that in hip hop there's this great day. I think it was 2. What I want to say? Okay, it wasn't in hip hop, but in music in general. Do you guys know that Nevermind, Low End Theory, and Blood Sugar Sex Magic came out on the same day? How are you not going to compare which ones do you feel? Even if it's different genres, you're still able to compare. This album's. So now if you're sticking with the same genre.
I agree with you.
Yeah, man. He was left.
Yeah. Well, for me, I just think my stance is on taking risks in any sort of art form.
Yeah.
True, yeah, you're always about that.
I'm always about that too.
And this is down to a personal thing now. You think that he took a risk, but it didn't.
And it
land.
flopped.
I feel the opposite, and that's just what it is in this case, unfortunately. I think that after My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, and Watch the Throne, that was his height. This is actually quite often compared to Computer to Kid A.
Yeah.
Where Radiohead just sort of did a
180.
a 360, a 180, and just threw caution to the wind.
Yeah.
Recreated their sound in a different sense. And that's what Yeezus is for me. I think sonically he takes a lot of risks that land completely, in my opinion. My only gripe with this album is, as you say, the rapping doesn't always land. There are some weak lines here and there that you can't excuse.
Damn croissant.
Throughout.
But having said that, that's so quotable that I kind of like
Exactly.
it. But I'm inclined. Oh no, I'm not inclined to disagree. I don't disagree with both of you vehemently. I feel like I fall in the middle.
Yeah, you do.
Between Zwide and
So someone that loves it, someone that hates it, and someone that just rates it.
Yeah, like I'm saying, it's not bad. Like, but I don't think it's unlistenable because there are tracks that I would like. I do like Black Skin Hit. I think it's a nice arrangement. I think
I thought it was cool,
good
but
music. I like Blood on the Leaves.
I thought it was cool, but I'm not as big on it as the rest of the world.
And he's
Because like Blood on the Leaves, you don't
the-
think that's good production? You don't think that's a nice?
Nah, not the maybe if I'm in the club and if I'm like sloshed.
No, that's
Nah, I don't agree.
I think New Slaves has better production.
Yeah, but I think they're all good.
And the switch on New Slaves,
Too good. I liked it.
yeah.
Yeah, Hold My Liquor is the only one that I don't like that much, and you guys know
Really?
why.
You hate
I
Chief
love
Keef?
Hold My Liquor, bro.
It's the shit I don't like. No. I didn't like his vocal delivery on it.
Oh,
It just annoyed the crap out of me.
I mean, it sucks. I think the best moment for me was listening to Bound 2 because it was just like finally actual instruments.
Well, then, sis, because you like 808s, so
No,
with your actual,
man. I'm talking about the fact that Yeezus just didn't have good production for me throughout.
So it's not actual. Well, you said actual instruments.
I'm as a joke, you know. I'm being
It's a bad joke.
You laughed.
I'm laughing at you.
It was just like, okay, this is a dope beat. I liked it. The Charlie Wilson chorus was dope. Nah, but it was just
Look, I'm never gonna be able to convert you.
Nah.
And you're never gonna be able to.
Never,
That's just
All right.
That's just one of these albums.
Maybe you should do a test, like if you can only listen to one album on repeat in your car, and like the two very like loud albums, you know, it's like which one would you? It's just like it's like imagine listening to this. I just can't imagine. So this is what I say. I can't imagine like myself listening to this and it like becomes bitter in any way.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe I need to go to like an EDM party and get some Wally.
No, but you won't even hear this at an EDM party.
Yeah.
Of course not, but I'm just saying the music has that vibe to me.
I don't think so. I think that this.
What's the vibe of a Death Grips concert?
Oh, that's more. That's actually closer to like a pop. Not pop. Like a punk. Like a post-punk or like a hardcore show. Death Grips concert.
Maybe that's not my. Yeah, it was just whatever it is that he was trying to do. I think he failed. That's what I'll say.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is into Pablo.
And actually, it's actually at this point where I was talking about in the beginning, his political stance starts to, you know, like, okay, let's do this. And I was talking about the fact that what he used to talk about before reflected on the whole community. Then the album becomes almost like his albums after that becomes almost like his own problems that he wants you to care about. With Yeezus, it was Nike and his fallout with them, you know. And now suddenly like F corporate and establishments, especially Nike, you know. and it's like okay,
Some Yeezus up in his
yeah, but then he's like telling, and he's trying to bring up this whole. It was also at this point where he was starting to wild out in his interviews. The Sway interview, my
Good
God, the Jimmy Kimmel one.
I'm sure my kids that Sway interview.
And then he's starting to contradict himself in a lot of ways, and it leads into the Yeezus rollout, which is I feel like one of the most dismal attempts at an album rollout. We're changing the album name 3 times in real time. It started with Swish, So Help Me God, then it became The Life of Pablo.
Sorry, you said Yeezus.
Sorry, The Life of Pablo.
Oh yeah, I was like, was that like a surprise drop?
No,
like,
sorry.
with no singles.
Life
like,
of
what's so
Pablo.
bad about? Okay.
That was cool. Sorry, I meant to say The Life of Pablo.
Cool.
The rollout was terrible, and it carried on being terrible even afterwards. And he was just at this point where he was just starting to say some stupid stuff like I just wasn't agreeing with. And it starts to cloud my judgment of his music. And not even that it has to cloud my judgment where his music becomes different, but it just wasn't good. There was no...
That's interesting because I actually remember you saying to me at the time that people like him and Beyonce have this sort of genius idea of presenting their albums as sort of events.
No, so yeah, I was talking about that, and I'm not saying that. My point to that, I'm sorry if I like came across a different way, but my point to that is that people will focus so much on how they're gonna. You saw it with the rise of visual albums, Lemonade and Blonde. Sorry, not Blonde. What was the one? Endless.
Yeah.
Lemonade, Endless, and then.
Although Endless was not a focus. That was actually a really good.
It was just like him trying to get out of Def Jam. Yeah. But we know what it was. Like, okay, suddenly visual albums, and then Kanye wants to do a fashion show for his clothing brand, and that's how I'm going to release the album at my fashion show. You're going to hear it live. It's like people are focusing so much on how they're gonna present the album, they're actually forgetting that they actually have to make a good album to present. They spend so much time in the marketing of it, but when do you spend time on like making sure you're giving us good music? I didn't feel like Life of Pablo had any substance. to it. It was just him. It sounded like, it's so crazy. It sounded like Kanye's Life of Pablo sounds like someone that's trying to rap for the first time because he's rich. He's like a rich dude. I'm gonna try my hand at rapping. I have the tools. I have the access to these artists. I have the studio. I have the means. I'm gonna try my hand at rapping. It literally and he's getting in designer for this song, and he's doing this song with The Weeknd. I was just like, dude. And I spoke about his previous albums. There's always an aim to those albums. What was the goal for Life of Pablo?
Out of interest, when you re-listen to this, did you re-listen to the newest version?
With Saint Pablo at the end?
Yeah.
And Facts and
also, the mixing is completely different, hey?
Yeah.
maybe because I didn't listen to the first release enough. I listened to it twice and I was like, okay, this is enough for me to not go back again. It's just, but even stuff like that, changing his album up in real time, it's all this focus on innovation, look what I can do with music, but it's bro, just spend time focusing on actually making good music, because there's none of the songs on there that have an impact.
Did you? Sorry.
Yes, I did.
You did? Okay.
So I heard it when it came out, and I heard this one was.
So you
just out of interest.
You don't think the music is good, and you don't think it has substance.
I don't think it. No, doesn't do anything.
Okay.
Good. If Father Stretch My Hands is good if I'm at the club and I'm waiting for the drop, but then beyond that, I'm just like, okay, I can leave. There's no saving grace to it as well. There's not one good song. It's like, damn. I don't believe there is.
But open?
I got over it. I liked it when I first heard it. Then I'm like, okay.
Yeah, but over something getting overplayed should never affect.
Not overplayed. I liked it. Then it's just like, okay, I liked it. So Chance the Rapper, in his context, did the whole gospel album, and it's like, okay, so this is the vibe that we're going for.
You know how I feel.
Yeah. So I don't know. There's just nothing. It's so uninspiring.
Sure.
What would you guys say?
That's one. I think it's an entertaining album. I don't think it's definitely not Kanye's most profound album, not even close.
It was like a long,
but it's an entertaining
Twitter tweet, range of tweets, because he's just speaking about shit that's happening to him.
It's an entertaining listen though, and I feel like that sort of glitchy, fragmented sound is sort of what he was going for in a sense. In a weird sort of hey?
Did it sound good?
I think it did to me. I think there are loads of great tracks on there, and I think Ultralight Beam, Father Stretch My Hands Part 1, Famous, FML, Wolves.
I like FML.
Yeah, FML is great.
The last version of Pablo doesn't have Wolves anymore.
Yeah, it's off.
No, it's not.
It's
just the latest one.
It's just a different. It's the 5-minute version.
It's not on there.
For real?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There have been so many changes.
You're saying 4 times.
So no, but then if Frank's track is still on there, what's that transition?
Goes into the Max B interlude.
No, what goes from into Frank's track?
It was either I Love Kanye or what's the I'm gonna fuck right now song?
Freestyle 4.
Freestyle 4.
Oh.
I didn't hear Wolves in the last version.
I gotta say, I agree on the substance thing from a lyric point of view, but I also think that if we're talking about this album, or the lyrics rather, as a representation of Kanye's current state of mind,
Yeah.
it's about as much of a mirror as you can get.
That's what I said. It's literally a series of tweets.
Yeah.
That dude is.
But I also, maybe I'm being negative, there was no other album we were going to get from Kanye at this point. No, nothing.
Of course.
This is where he's at as a person. And I think its one strength is that it is pretty honest.
Yeah.
I don't think there's ever which is weird because we spoke about how he's always trying to hit a certain market. I feel like the market for this album was him.
Yeah.
Because there's not even a lot of. It wasn't even like he was hitting the one thing and pushing that, because there isn't a very cohesive.
It isn't at all. It's like he literally
sound, message, or voice.
What he had in mind.
Yeah. But having said that, I do think there's a certain novelty to the album.
Yeah.
I do think there are some well-produced tracks. Even some of them, like Famous, I don't like the verses. I think they're pretty weak. But I think it sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
I think Father Stretch My Hand sounds pretty good. I like No More Parties in
If you
LA.
were to give,
No parties in LA, yeah.
that was cool.
Yeah.
I think there are some.
I liked Real Friends when it came out, but then he
Yeah,
moved,
Real Friends.
but then he took away on this last version. Of
And,
it's not on there.
No, Real Friends is still on the last version I listened to. Man, I wish I could grab my phone.
Listen to the 2018 version, bro.
I'm sure I did.
It's not on there.
And it's still on there.
I definitely would have known because that's the only song that I really liked out of this.
Yeah. What was it? Waves?
Waves is still
Waves,
there.
yeah.
Waves.
I didn't hear that one.
Did you ever hear Chance playing what it was
For Zane Lowe.
Hey.
Yeah, nah, I was moved.
You sound like me talking about Chance the Rapper now, bro. What happened? I thought I was the guy who
Hated Chance.
Chance. Yeah. Okay. Well,
Wait, just as out of interest,
Wolves and Real Friends are both on the latest version.
how come it wasn't on the one for me? It took away.
hey, maybe
Wolves.
there'd be different versions on different streaming platforms.
Bro.
That also seems like something that Kanye would do. To be fair, although you're on Apple Music too.
Maybe different version for different people. So Zwide gets
Depending
the
what your
version
play count is,
Yeah.
it's like, you don't deserve this. You didn't listen enough. You can get different
If you guys
factors.
had to rate that album like individually, what would?
Man, I wish I actually had this written down. I think I gave Life of Pablo like a 6.8 when I was going through this when I listened to it.
0.8. What is the 0.8? Why couldn't you get a 7?
Because it's not a 7.
Or 6.5?
It's not a 6.5.
I think, like on that note, we can.
Yeah, we can probably get into our rankings.
Yeah.
Also, because we got like 10% battery.
Oh,
This
wow.
is far too long.
It's like 4 hours, right?
It's roundabout.
When I edit it,
Yeah.
obviously.
We might make it a two-parter. I
Oh,
might make it
yeah,
a two-parter.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's probably best.
So ranking the albums.
But also, just like as a last thought for the Life of Pablo, like
I think
it was nice to see the return of Kanye taking what is happening at the minute and putting his own spin on it, even though it doesn't necessarily land for a lot of the tracks.
Yeah.
I like that.
And
Because
I think-
Yeezus, I felt like he was trying to do the one thing, and he just didn't quite get it. But I don't think he necessarily got it wrong. I like that genre so much that I felt like he didn't do it justice. Whereas here, he does a lot of contemporary hip hop better than other people who are fully in that genre.
Yeah.
But he does like the one track of it. So I haven't seen him do anything like expunge on this kind
Yeah.
of trap thing. Like he didn't do a lot. He just did like, 2 beats that had that kind of flavor to it.
Yeah.
But again, it's very much a novel listen and not like an amazing listen.
I'd have to just say that I think his focus has been too much on the fashion and trying to make sure that blows up, and he gets the same credit for that. And the music suffered.
Okay, jumping into the rankings. Let's break some friendships.
Who goes first?
Zwide, as the guest, you can.
It's
can
rude
open
to
it up.
ask the guest.
So we're going from last to first, obviously.
Bottom to up.
Yeah, bottom to top.
I only know from top to bottom, so I just got to think about. Okay, fine. Yeezus lost. That's easy.
Yeezus lost. Okay.
Life of Pablo second lost. Are we counting Watch the Throne in it?
Yeah, you can.
So bottom is Yeezus. Second bottom is Life of Pablo. I think I put Watch the Throne, and then I'll put 808s and Heartbreaks. After that is My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy.
Okay.
Then it's Graduation. Second is College Dropout. Number 1 is Late Registration.
Okay.
Yeah. That was so hard to think from
Heavy.
bottom up. So basically how I would have said is that Late Registration is his best. College Dropout second. Graduation third. Fourth, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. 808s, Watch the Throne, Yeezus, and Pablo and Yeezus.
Yeah.
So yeah. How do you guys feel about that?
it makes sense to me from
what you
Hearing what I've been saying, yeah. It's not
I think these lists are probably going to be easier on us after having gone through this talk, rather than if we just sat down and go like, hey, rank the Kanye albums for me real quick. It probably would grate your ears more. Do you want to go, King?
All right, so number 8, I've got 808.
Wow.
7, I've got Watch the Throne. 6, Pablo.
Wow.
5, Graduation.
What?
Oh,
4, Late Registration.
Oh my god.
3, Yeezus. 2, College Dropout. And 1, My Beautiful Doctor's Divorce.
hey. That did change from earlier as well,
No, it didn't.
didn't it?
No.
Okay, I read wrong then. When I stole a glance at your list. Okay.
Wow. Whoa. Why is late registration
We'll
so
get
low?
to our discussions after he says his.
Yeah. Okay, so... Hey, don't be peeking me.
I can't even see anything. Your handwriting is like
I'm not gonna lie.
hieroglyphics.
So, 8, I've got 808s.
That's what you had as well, right?
Yeah.
Obviously. You guys aren't gonna like me. Then I've got The Life of Pablo at 7.
That's normal.
That's okay. Then I've got Watch the Throne at 6.
Mm-hmm.
At 5, I've got College Dropout.
Wow.
Then at 4, I've got Yeezus. Then at 3, I've got Late Registration. At 2, My Beautiful Doctor's Fantasy.
Wow. Graduation at number 1. Wow.
What? Yeah.
That was different to the thing you had in your PC. Was that the objective?
Oh yeah, that was just
To confuse
just
the
ranked.
enemy.
Yeah, no, it was ranked. I ranked it objectively from like a thing without taking my emotions into play before I.
If I had to do that, I would place Graduation first. Then the list would kind of be the same after that.
All right. So number 1 album.
My Beautiful Doctor's Fantasy.
Late Registration, Magnum Opus.
And Graduation.
That's 3.
That's crazy.
3 very different albums. Yeah.
And I like that though. With these albums, there's a claim to why you think that this is the best, objectively, because they're that good.
Yeah.
If it was Yeezus or Pablo, we would have had to fight.
have fighting words. Yeah. I think if I'll just jump into why I think Graduation is my number 1.
Yeah.
It is the album that transported me out of where I was at the time the most. And I felt kind of stuck just in my life, I guess. Musically, kind of stuck, just with the same kind of thing. And this album made me think and dream and fantasize and live vicariously through those songs. I went to different places every time I heard the different tracks. Definitely my most played out of all these albums. There's not even a question about that.
It's the same for me, actually.
Yeah, like if I had to look at my iTunes like plays, it would be on the top, and that's discounting the fact that I had it as a CD before, and I know I played it more than anything, more than the other ones when I had it as a CD too. So just on that alone.
Yeah. If I had to think about the ones that I played the most, but not really like looking at actual stats on iTunes or anything, it's between Graduation and My Beautiful Doctor's Fantasy, because.
And that was only number 4 for you, huh?
Yeah, a lot of it has to do with the fact that I think that the cultural impacts of the 3 albums, the first 3 albums, had so much of an influence on my life.
Okay.
And My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy was just a good comeback album.
Yeah.
But Late Registration is just him at his finest for me. Everything, production and rapping, and getting collaborations. It was just peak for me.
Okay.
For me, I just think that My Beautiful Doctor's Fantasy was like I said to you guys, it's the album where I followed the rollout from start to finish.
Yeah.
It's the album I played the most when it came out. I remember driving, because it came out before the December holidays.
Yeah.
I remember long trips where I'd play the whole thing, start to finish. and I can still jump into it right now, and it would sound the exact same as what it did back then to me. It's his most ambitious album, I think, in production and lyrics, because he tackles so many different things across the whole album. And yeah, just a sort of amalgamation of everything up to that point.
You got it like in your top 5 of all time.
Yeah,
right?
defs. Top 3 even.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
That's that.
that's that.
Yeah, sounds good.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks. That was crazy long.
Yeah.
But we couldn't really condense it. There was too much
There's
to
too
say.
much,
So
Yeah.
yeah.
That was-
I guess no matter how we feel about him now, it's safe to say he's had a huge impact on us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's given us enough for
Yeah.
us to really regard him as one of the best of our generation.
What are you thinking about a new Kanye project?
He's in Wyoming right now, and I've seen he's put on some weight. He's always carrying a laptop. I don't know. Like, I'm not excited for it. Is what I'm at the stage. That's the first discussion we had, is whether we can still call ourselves fans of him. I'm not at that stage where news about a new Kanye album excites me.
Sure.
I'm actually hoping that he can deliver with this album so that it doesn't become a situation where I don't even bother to listen to him at all. I also wish he could stop the bullshit, you know, and just not be so crazy sometimes. But yeah, I just hope that, I hope good things for him, but you know, it's not the same.
Yeah.
I'm Mr. Old Kanye.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still looking forward to a Kanye album. Nothing's really changed for me, and I don't think Pablo has done much. You know how much I love Yeezus, so that's not even a factor.
Yeah,
and Pablo didn't derail anything for me.
I think for me, Pablo didn't affect me as much as 808s did. It just felt like a speed bump.
Yeah, and he could
like,
bounce back from 808s.
Yeah, like creatively it just felt weird. I don't know where he's at in his life now, because we've seen like his emotions and his place very much affect his musical output. But I would definitely be on it immediately if he brought out something, and I'd still be like fingers crossed that he can pull it together, and that we don't have to like kind of cancel him and just leave him. I'm hopeful. But yeah, thanks so much for listening. It's the Overthunk podcast. Hopefully we're going to have video on this one. We're not sure. Everything could have fallen apart while we were speaking. We don't know. It's a very ramshackle setup over
went
here.
From like afternoon to evening.
Yeah, we were really here. We have the passage of time. That's like that's a feature on video games, though. Real time, sun. Like that's what we have. That. So anyway, throw us a like or a subscribe or whatever.
Stay tuned for some more shorter releases coming up.
But yeah, thanks for joining us.
No skits.
No skits.
I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you don't hate our rankings too much.
Yeah.
Tip your waders. Buckle your seatbelts.
Oh, I forgot we were on video. Oh man.
All right.